Okay, ladies and gentlemen, again, we're going to do 4 TEFRAs. So I have to go through a specific text that I want to make sure we get read into the record for these types of items. So first of all, good morning to everyone. Of course, Alderman Hopkins would be the first roll call on each one of these. So let me start out by saying good morning. Hope you all had a good weekend. And the first meeting of the TEFRA will now come to order. Pursuant to applicable law and my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19, this meeting is conducted by video conference. Let the record reflect that this is a public hearing being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Notice of this public hearing was published on July 8, 2022 on the website of the Office of the City Clerk of the City of Chicago. This public hearing is held by video conference and made available to the public via a link located at and a toll-free number provided at the following address, www.chicityclerk.com. And let the recorder mark that the screenshot of such notice as committee's exhibit number 1 is set for identification. All right, and with that, I'll start the roll call. Alderman Hopkins, you ready?
Alderman Hopkins isn't with us.
Okay. Alderman Hopkins, not present for this one. Alderwoman Dowell.
Here, Chairman.
Alderwoman King.
Present, Chair.
Vice Chair Hairston.
Present.
Alderman Sawyer.
Here.
Alderman Mitchell. Alderwoman Harris. Alderman Beal. Alderman Sadlowski Garza.
Present.
Alderwoman Nicole Lee.
Present, Chair. Good morning.
Good morning. Alderman Cardenas. Alderman Quinn. Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Moore.
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Curtis. Alderman O'Shea. Alderman Brookins. Alderwoman Tabaris.
Present.
Thank you. Alderwoman Scott. Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Scott's here, sir. I just saw her.
Okay. Alderman Irvin. Alderman Taliaferro. Alderman Raboris.
Present, Chairman.
Alderwoman Austin. Alderman Villegas. Oh, thank you, Alderman Austin. I got you.
Present.
Villegas. Yes.
Present.
Thank you. Alderwoman Mitz.
Present.
Alderman Cardenas, I have you.
Thank
Alderman
you.
Beal. Alderman Beal, I have you too. I see you there. Thanks. Alderman Sposato.
Nick Sposato's here.
Alderman Napolitano.
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Riley.
Alderman Riley's present.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here, Chair.
Alderman Tunney.
Present.
Alderman Osterman. Alderwoman Silverstein.
Present.
And Chairman Wagsback, present. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we have to record that for the purposes of the this IRS or Internal Revenue Codes hearing. So I'll have to do that again for each one. This hearing is a hearing regarding a plan of finance to issue Chicago O'Hare International Airport General Revenue Bonds, Passenger Facility Charge Revenue Bonds, and credit agreement loan notes and commercial paper notes. The airport revenue bonds and the PFC revenue bonds will be issued in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $968,500,000. The aggregate principal amount of loan notes and CP notes outstanding at any time will not exceed $600 million. The airport revenue bonds, the PFC revenue bonds, the loan notes, and the CP notes, herein collectively called the airport obligations, are being issued in one or more series at one or more times for the purposes of the payment of various certain costs of certain capital projects, or reimbursement and costs of certain capital projects, including airport, airfield, terminal, concession, roadway, and airport transit system facilities and improvements and other related facilities and improvements at or near the airport, and the costs of providing sound insulation and noise mitigation at schools and residences in areas surrounding the airport, including, without limitation, capital projects included in the terminal area plan, the O'Hare modernization program, and the capital improvement program at the airport. B, refunding or refinancing general airport revenue bonds, special facility revenue bonds, commercial paper notes, credit agreement notes, and or passenger facility charge revenue bonds issued for purposes of the airport. C, cash flow needs of the airport and funding costs of security projects, and funding the costs of acquiring land and the relocation of facilities relating to the airport. D, the deposits of monies into certain funds and accounts to accomplish the purposes of the airport obligations, including capitalizing a portion of the interest thereon, funding the costs relating to the acquisition of any leasehold interest of any airline or other tenant at the airport, including any contractual right of the airline under any airline use agreement or special facility finance arrangement. And F, the payment of costs of issuance incurred in connection with issuing the airport obligations. The airport is also owned and operated by the city. The airport revenue bonds will be issued pursuant to the Master Indenture of Trust securing Chicago O'Hare International Airport General Airport Revenue Senior Lien Obligations dated as of June 1st, 2018. The PFC revenue bonds will be issued pursuant to the Master Indenture of Trust securing Chicago O'Hare International Airport Passenger Facility Charge Obligations dated as of January 1st, 2008. The loan notes are to be issued pursuant to a program established by an ordinance adopted by the City Council on March 14, 2012. The CP notes are to be issued pursuant to a program established by an ordinance adopted by the City Council on November 18, 2009. The airport obligations will not constitute general obligations of the city, but will be special limited obligations of the city payable from airport revenues and passenger facility charges. The airport obligations will not constitute an indebtedness or a loan of credit to the city, the state of Illinois, or any political subdivision thereof within the meaning of any constitutional or statutory provisions, and no owner of any airport obligation shall have the right to compel any exercise of the taxing power of the city, the state of Illinois, or any other political subdivision thereof to pay the principal of, premium, if any, or interest on the airport obligations. Written comments relating to the plan to issue the airport revenue bonds, the PFC revenue bonds, and the loan notes and the CP notes must have been submitted by email to the Director of Legislation and Policy at owen.brew@cityofchicago.org, not later than 3 p.m., July 15th, 2022. Let the record reflect that no submitted written comments were provided. And ladies and gentlemen, if any taxpayer, resident, or other interested person attending this hearing desires an opportunity to express their views for or against the proposed issuance of the airport revenue bonds, PFC revenue bonds, the loan notes, and the CP notes, please notify the host of the toll-free phone number so you may have an opportunity to make those comments or statements at this time. Is there any member of the public, taxpayer, or interested party that wishes to make a statement with respect to this matter? Let the record reflect there has been no response to the question posed by the chair. And 1 second, please. Let me make sure before I conclude. Want to make sure I get everybody on record here. Alderman Curtis.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes. Yes, sir.
Alderman O'Shea. Alderman Cardone, I have you down as present as well. Alderman Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And sorry, folks, I'm just going back through the list. Alderman Mitchell,
Osterman,
Alderman Osterman,
Burnett.
Alderman Burnett,
Mitchell.
Alderman Mitchell. If I missed you, just go ahead and shout out there. And I think that's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the public hearing on the proposed plan for the City of Chicago to issue the not to exceed $968,005,000 principal amount airport revenue bonds and PFC revenue bonds, and the not to exceed $600 million principal amount loan notes and CP notes. Let the record reflect the public hearing on this matter was concluded at 10:16 a.m. July 18, 2022. This concludes the O'Hare-Tefra hearing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have to go through the second Tefra hearing. This is for multifamily housing revenue bonds and the Barbara Jean Wright Fort Apartments. Morning again. The meeting will come to order. Pursuant to applicable law, my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19. This meeting is conducted by a video conference. Let the record reflect this is a public hearing being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Notice of the public hearing was published on July 8, 2022 on the website of the Office of the City Clerk of the City of Chicago. This public hearing is held via video conference and made available via a link publicized and provided at the following web address, www.chiCityClerk.com. Let the reporter mark the screenshot of such notice as Committee's Exhibit Number 1 for identification. This is the hearing regarding a plan to issue City of Chicago multifamily housing revenue bonds, Series 2022, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $42 million. We'll now call a roll call. Alderman Hopkins. Alderwoman Dowell.
Here, Chairman.
Alderwoman King.
Present, Chair.
Vice Chair Hairston.
Present.
Alderman Sawyer.
Here.
Alderman Mitchell.
Present.
Alderwoman Harris. Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderwoman Sadlowski Garza.
Here.
Everybody hold on just 1 second. I want to make sure I got a message that somebody wasn't able to get on. Give me 1 second, please. I'll continue on the roll as soon as I get back on. All right, everyone, sorry about that. Just making sure all the aldermen have the correct link. So continuing with the roll call, Alderwoman Nicole Lee.
Present.
Alderman Cardenas.
Present.
Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Moore.
Alderman Moore is present.
Alderman Curtis.
Present.
Alderman O'Shea.
Here.
Alderman Brookins. Alderwoman Tavares.
Present.
Alderwoman Scott.
Present.
Alderman Burnett.
Present.
Alderman Irvin. Alderman Taliaferro. Alderman Roboris.
Present.
Alderwoman Austin.
Present.
Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderwoman Mitz.
Present.
Alderman Spizzato.
Nick Spozzato here, sorry.
That's okay. Alderman Napolitano,
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Riley,
Alderman Riley's present.
Alderwoman Smith,
Here.
Alderman Tunney,
Present.
Alderman Osterman,
Here.
Alderman Silverstein,
Present, Chairman.
Chairman Wagasback is present. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is a hearing regarding a plan to issue City of Chicago multifamily housing revenue bonds. The proceeds of the bonds will be loaned to BJ Wright Preservation LP, an Illinois limited partnership, to enable the borrower to pay or reimburse a portion of the cost of acquiring, rehabilitating, constructing, and equipping approximately 272 residential rental units in 27 buildings, 12 garden-style 4-story apartment buildings, and 15 two-story townhomes, and 216 parking spaces on 7 parking lots located on various parcels between Maxwell Street, Morgan Street, 14th Place, Racine Avenue, and Blue Island Avenue, all with a common address of 1354 South Morgan Street, Chicago, Illinois, otherwise known as the project, and to pay a portion of the cost of the issuance and other costs incurred in connection therewith. The borrower will be initial owner-operator of the project. The general partner of the borrower is BJ Wright GP, LLC, an Illinois limited liability company. The city will issue the bonds pursuant to its powers as a home rule unit of government under the Constitution of the state of Illinois and an ordinance adopted by the City Council of the city. The bonds will not be a general obligation of the city, the state of Illinois, or any political subdivision thereof, but will be a limited special obligation of the city. The principal of premium, if any, and interest on the bonds will be payable solely out of the revenue of the project and other funds pledged and assigned for the payment by the borrower in accordance with a borrower loan agreement between the city and the borrower. The bonds will not constitute an indebtedness or obligation of the city, the state of Illinois, or any political subdivision of the state of Illinois within the purview of any constitutional limitation or statutory provision. No holder of the bonds will have the right to compel any exercise of the taxing power of the city, the state of Illinois, the United States of America, or any political subdivision of any of them to pay the principal of premium, if any, or interest on the bonds. Written comments relating to the plan to issue the bonds must have been submitted by email to the Director of Legislation and Policy at owen.brew@cityofchicago.org, not later than 3 p.m. on July 15th, 2022. Let the record reflect that we did receive written comments from 2 individuals. And let me see. From Coretta Pruitt and ladies and gentlemen, I have that other text here. Both of those written comments were submitted to the record. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if any resident, taxpayer, or other interested person outside of those submitting written comment desires an opportunity to express their views for or against the proposed issuance of the bonds, please notify the host of the toll-free call-in number so you have an opportunity to make those comments or statement. At this time, we have 1 member of the public who wishes to make a statement with respect to this matter. And hold 1 second, please. Can you hear me? Is this Miss Smith?
Press *6 to unmute your phone.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, we
Ms.
can hear
Smith,
you.
could you just state your name for the record and then go ahead with your comment?
Yes, this is Desi Smith. We did not really have enough notice to put in written response, but our community is not in agreement with building a large apartment building complex. We are open to new development from a commercial perspective, but the community has been very clear that they are very concerned with the amount of traffic and the amount of parking issues that this structure will cause. So we want to make sure that that is in the record, as well as the number of units that will be in place. So, and we need to understand why the city is taking on a mortgage. Is that what I'm understanding you to say for this developer?
This is a bond hearing, so I think just so you know, at a further point, you would be able to continue to work with your alderman. I believe it's Alderman Moore. This is just the bond hearing for any project that would go there, and I believe he's still working on it. So you would have time to reach out to him and continue your discussions.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Ms. Smith. And I just want to point out that the other written comment came from Timothy Thomas Jr. And his comments, as well as Ms. Pruitt's, were distributed to all members of the committee for review. All right, Ann, was that the only one we had?
That's the only one.
Again, thank you, Ms. Smith. We appreciate your comments, and I would encourage you to reach out to Alderman Moore. So, ladies and gentlemen, let the record reflect that there are no further
Chairman,
comments.
one more hand raised.
It's Jim
thanks,
McDonald. Jim, did we? Oh, sorry.
No, it's,
I see.
hold on one second. I believe it's Mr. I think it's,
Chairman, if I can interrupt, I believe the written comments were with respect to the Auburn Gresham project. And this is a public hearing for the Barbara Jean Wright Apartments project. So I think the commentary is for a different project and not for the one that's the subject of the current hearing.
okay. All right, Jim. Thank you. Mr. Thomas, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Wait, Mr. Thomas, hold on. Is this for?
The Barbara Jean Wright project?
No, he's commenting on Auburn Gresham. So Mr.
That was my point. Mr. McDonald made my point that my comments were for Auburn Gresham, not Barbara Jean.
Okay, why don't you hold, we'll put you on hold and have you comment when we get up to that one.
Thank you, Alderman.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
No problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes the public hearing on the proposed plan for the City of Chicago to issue multifamily housing revenue bonds for the Barbara Jean Wright Court Apartments Project Series 2022 in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $42 million for this project. Let the record reflect that this public hearing on the matter was concluded at 10:29 a.m. June 16th. This concludes the TEFRA hearing.
Alderman, we've been joined by Alderman Irvin.
Okay. All right, let me go directly to Auburn Gresham then, so that Mr. Thomas can speak once we'll have him clear there. All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll do a roll call in just a second. Good morning. For purposes of the record, this meeting will come to order. Pursuant to applicable law, my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19. This meeting is conducted by video conference. Let the record reflect this is a public hearing being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Notice of this public hearing was published on July 8th, 2022 on the website of the City Clerk of the City of Chicago. The public hearing is being held by video conference and made available to the public via that link at the City Clerk's office at chicityclerk.com. Let the reporter reflect that the screenshot of such notice and committee's exhibit number 1 is made for identification. This is a hearing regarding a plan of finance to issue a not to exceed $25 million principal amount multifamily mortgage revenue note 2022 Series A for the Auburn Gresham Apartments project, otherwise known as the note. Let me start out with roll call. Alderman Hopkins. Alderwoman Dowell. Alderwoman King.
Present, Chair.
Vice Chair Hairston. Present. Alderman Sawyer. Alderwoman Harris.
Dowell here,
Thank you.
Chairman.
Alderwoman Harris. Alderman Beal,
Yep.
Alderwoman Saldowski Garza,
Present.
Alderwoman Lee,
Present.
Alderman Cardenas, Alderman Quinn,
Here.
Alderman Burke. Thank you, George. Yeah. Alderman Lopez, Alderman Moore,
Alderman Moore is present, Chairman.
Alderman Curtis,
Here.
Alderman O'Shea,
Here.
Alderman Brookins,
So
Here.
This was an incredibly competitive
Alderwoman Taveras,
application.
Present.
Alderwoman Scott,
Present.
Alderman Burnett,
Present.
Alderman Irvin.
Yeah, Alderman Irvin is present as well as Tully Farrell.
Thank you. Taliaferro is present. Alderman Gregorius,
Present.
Alderwoman Austin,
Present.
Alderman Villegas, Alderwoman Nitz. I know both of you there.
Present.
Alderman Sposato,
Next Posada's here.
Alderman Mitchell. Gotcha. Alderman Napolitano,
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Riley, Alderwoman Smith.
Alderman Riley's present.
I got you. Thank you. Alderwoman Smith. Alderwoman Harris, I have you.
Thank you.
Alderman Osterman. And Tunney, I have.
Connie's here.
Alderwoman Silverstein
Present.
and Chairman Wagensbeck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is for the Auburn Gresham Apartments project. Vice Chair Harrison, I have you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting will come to order. This is a hearing regarding a plan of finance to issue a not to exceed $25 million principal amount multifamily mortgage revenue note 2022 Series A for the Auburn Gresham Apartments project. The proceeds of the note will be used by Auburn Gresham Apartments LP, an Illinois partnership, to pay or reimburse a portion of the cost of acquiring, constructing, and equipping of 2 low and moderate income residential facilities and related common facilities within the city, with one building to be located at 836 to 858 West 79th Street and consisting of a 3-story building with 28 units and 28 parking spaces. And the second to be located at 757 West 79th Street, consisting of a 5-story building with 30 units and 14 parking spaces. Auburn Gresham Apartments GP LLC, an Illinois limited liability company, will be the general partner of the borrower. The city will issue the note pursuant to its powers as a home rule unit of government under the 1970 Constitution of the state of Illinois and an ordinance adopted by the City Council of the city. The note will be a general obligation of the city. This will not be a general obligation of the city, the state of Illinois, or any political subdivision thereof, but will be a special limited obligation of the city. The principal of premium, if any, and interest on the note will be payable solely from amounts received from the borrower to repay its loans of the proceeds of the note, except to the extent such principal, premium, or interest is payable from note proceeds, the income from the temporary investment of note proceeds, and monies derived from instruments delivered in connection with the loan. The note will not constitute an indebtedness or an obligation of the city, the state of Illinois, or any political subdivision of the state of Illinois within the purview of any constitutional limitation or statutory provision. No holder of the note will have the right to compel any exercise of the taxing power of the city, the state of Illinois, the United States of America, or any political subdivision of any of them to pay the principal of premium, if any, or interest on the note. Written comments were submitted relating to the plan to issue the note, and they must have been submitted by email to the Director of Legislation and Policy at owen.brew@cityofchicago.org not later than 3 p.m. on July 15, 2022. Let the record reflect that we had written comments from Mr. Thomas, who's also here to speak, Ms. Pruitt. We also had Ms. Smith speak to this item, and we will have, in just 1 second, we will have comments from Mr. Thomas, Ms. Cassandra Watson, and Ms. Smith. If any other resident, taxpayer, or other interested person attending this hearing desires an opportunity to express their views for or against the proposed issuance of the note, please notify the host of the toll-free call-in number so you have an opportunity to make those comments or statements. Is there any other member of the public, taxpayer, interested person who wishes to make a statement with respect to this matter? Let the record reflect we do have comments that will be heard now. And we will start out with Mr. Actually, let's start with Ms. Desi Smith. She already spoke, but she can start off again now.
Okay, good morning again. I again want to express that the community as a large is not in agreement with the establishment of these two large apartment buildings equaling a total of 58 units on the corner of 79th Street between Peoria and Halsted due to the traffic issue and the parking issue. And we have requested that if we were to consider that they would be condos, we were told that's not an option. So we would seriously appreciate if our requests are being considered in this conversation. And we are not in agreement with our tax dollars being used for this project. Thank you.
Thanks again, Ms. Smith. Thanks for your patience. And next, we will hear from Mr. Timothy Thomas.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on this matter. My name is Timothy Thomas Jr., and I am a resident and homeowner on the 79th and Peoria Street block, where I am the secretary of this block club, and I've resided since April 1965. I'm also the owner of other real estate on the block and in the 17th Ward at large. In the interest of time, I have submitted an in-depth public statement in writing regarding the public funding of the Auburn Gresham Apartments and the suspect process as to how it has reached the floor of this committee with the blessings of the local elected official. For purposes of an abridged public testimony, I will limit my time to take the form of an outline of 4 key dates and related actions for this project. The week of March 25th, 2020, a flyer was distributed to residents alerting them of a Zoom meeting regarding this project. This is the first that many residents had heard regarding the project, inasmuch as previous meetings were conducted during the height of COVID and attended by non-resident stakeholders. Also, 2 weeks previously, there happened to be a cash donation made to the campaign fund of the elected official. Whereas previous meetings only had 20 participants, the March 25th meeting drew over 150 at the last moment. Date number 2, June 8 and 9, 2021. The alderman states that without community support, the project will not go forward. It is at a standstill. I am not supporting anything unless the community says so. And the community said as much with over 700 signatures, written and electronic, regarding its position on the project. This is quoted in Block Club Chicago. That same week, a $1,000 donation was made to the campaign fund of the elected official. August 12th, 2021, the alderman changed his course and states community objections from just a few people is how the objections are characterized. September 27th, 2021, another donation of $1,500 was made to the campaign fund, cementing the deal. And now here we are today. A project of suspect origin with only one RFP respondent, major modifications, but no re-advertisement, is already 100% over budget before the first shovel of dirt has been turned on a project that is counter to the community's desires, but apparently driven by the quote unquote Chicago way of getting things done, which has been exacerbated by the Department of Planning's approach to the community, stating you will get this project or you will get nothing. Despite the history of the Chicago way, some of us have high hopes that this is just a vestige of the city's inglorious past and are hoping that this body to affirm as such. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Just for information, this is only a TEFRA hearing, so this is required federal hearing, and there are actually not any votes made on this today. Thank you. Next up, we have Cassandra Watson.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Watson. Just if you could state your name and then proceed.
Good morning, Mr.
This is Coretta.
Members of the committee. This is Cassandra B. Watson. I'm a resident and homeowner of Auburn Gresham. I wish to say that I concur with many of the comments by Mr. Thomas. I completely concur with the comments of Mrs. Desi Smith with respect to the community at large. We have been having meetings, excuse me, and more meetings. We have been explicit. We have been specific with respect to our objections, notwithstanding all of the many, many meetings that we have had, all of the many objections that we have enumerated and delineated. We have had no response from our political representation. Everyone continues to ignore that the community at large does not wish to have this meeting, project in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood with a number of units, the type of traffic congestion that already exists at 79th and Halsted. We are very, very concerned that these meetings continue to happen. I would like to say to the chairman, you have indicated twice that no vote is being taken at this meeting. What is going to happen at this meeting, the meeting that you are having now, and what is going to be your response with respect to the comments from the three of us? Mr. Wagaspak.
Yes, Ms. Watson, go ahead and finish, and then I'll outline for you what happens.
I have concluded my comments. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, just for your understanding and everyone else, this is anytime there is such a project, we have a required federal hearing. We do not take any votes during these hearings, and this is just submitted as part of a federal process. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this is a public hearing held to pursuant to requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code. And therefore, we just hold these hearings, but we do not actually take any votes. All information, including your comments, are forwarded, put on the public record, and the alderman would receive those and work with you as the project moves forward or doesn't, according to his process. All right. So there's no vote taken on this today, but we're required to do this public hearing per federal requirements. With that, I will turn to Mr. Stephen Smith. Are you speaking on this item as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Just state your name for the record, please, and go ahead.
My name is Stephen Smith. I'm a resident of Auburn Gresham and homeowner in the same property since 1968. I would like to echo our dislike of this project as it has been presented. As said before, at every opportunity, we in the community have come forward to say that we do not want the project to go on as forward, and yet it keeps going. So even though this is a meeting with no vote, again, we want to vocalize for the record that this project with this many units being lower income units is not the direction that we'd like to see our neighborhood and community go. We are trying to advance, grow, etc. We have voiced this to both Alderman Moore and Alderman Brookins and the developers of this development. So once again, we in the community are not in agreement with this. If it's possible to do so, and he would like to, I would like to yield any other time that I have remaining back to Tim if he had anything else he'd like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Actually, I think he did provide testimony and we forward that on. So for this public hearing, we just have your specific comments and we do not yield time to other speakers. All right? But you do have a minute left if you'd like to speak.
Good morning.
Okay, with that, I would like to add that, again, we are not in agreement with our tax dollars being used for a project of this type. And if we are able to be involved in future planning or changing of this project, we would be more than willing to give our ideas on stuff that we can agree on.
Okay, that's a good point. This is for just the federal hearing. We will have further discussion on it later in the meeting, but I believe the alderman is always open to discussion.
And I understand that. And again, at every turn, at every meeting, at every opportunity, we would like to voice our negative feelings on this. And we will give positive interjection at appropriate times as they arise.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. And do we have any other public speakers?
Good morning, can you hear me? Good morning, can you hear me?
Apparently, sorry, we
Yes,
had no
go
more
ahead and
hands.
state your name, please, for the record.
This is Coretta J. Pruitt. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Pruitt, we can hear you. And
Okay.
for purposes of record, she did submit written comment, which was forwarded to all members, but go ahead, Ms. Pruitt.
Thank you. I'm calling in, so there was no way for me to raise my hand, so I apologize. Good morning, everyone. And I just wanted to make a notation of a correction on the written public comment that I submitted. I mentioned that in the first paragraph, where it starts off on April 1st, 2021, it should state that the proposed project is 3 blocks west of the development. So 7800 South Carpenter Street block is just 3 blocks west, not north of the proposed development site. And I wanted to make that correction.
Thank you. Go ahead.
That is my comment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pruitt. Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Tech, do we have, or IGA, do we have any other speakers that were submitted for this hearing?
Chairman, I just want to mention that there are a few people on the phone and they can press *9 on their phone to raise their hand in Zoom. *9.
Okay, as I stated, if there's any member of the public wishing to speak on this item.
I believe we've heard everyone.
I just want to make sure they have the opportunity to speak if they wish to. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let the record reflect there has been no additional responses to the question posed by the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the public hearing on the proposed plan for the City of Chicago to issue the not to exceed $25 million principal amount multifamily mortgage revenue note for the Auburn Gresham Apartments project. Let the record reflect the public hearing on this matter was concluded at 10:50 a.m. July 18th, 2022. This concludes the TEPRA hearing for this project. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for our 4th TEPRA hearing, this is on Roosevelt Square Phase 3B project. This will be our final TEPRA, and then we will move into the general agenda. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting will come to order. Time is 10:51 a.m. Pursuant to applicable law, my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19, this meeting is conducted by video conference. Let the record reflect that this is a public hearing being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Notice of this public hearing was published on July 8, 2022 on the website of the Office of the City Office of the City Clerk of the City of Chicago. The public hearing is being held by video conference and made available to the public via a link located at and a toll-free number provided at the following web address, www.chicityclerk.com. Let the reporter reflect that, mark the screenshot of such notice as committee's exhibit number 1 for identification. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for a roll call, Alderman Hopkins. Alderwoman Dowell.
Here.
Alderwoman King.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Hairston.
Present.
Alderman Sawyer.
Here.
Alderman Mitchell.
Present.
Alderwoman Harris.
Here.
Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderwoman Sadlowski Garza.
Yep. Here.
Alderwoman Nicole Lee.
Present.
Alderman Cardenas. I know you were on there. Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Moore.
Alderman Moore is present, Chairman.
Alderman Curtis.
Here.
Alderman O'Shea. Alderman Brookins.
Present.
We have Alderman O'Shea. He's he's dialed in.
Yeah, I
Okay, great.
switched over to attendees. I found him there. Thank you. Alderwoman Tabaris.
Present.
Alderwoman Scott.
Present.
Alderman Burnett.
Present.
Alderman Irvin.
Present with Teleferro.
Thank you. Alderman Raboris.
Present.
Alderwoman Austin.
Present.
Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderwoman Mitz.
Present.
Alderman Sposato.
Nick Spasato's here.
Alderman Napolitano.
Present, Chairman.
Thank you. Alderman Riley. I know it's present.
Yep, Alderman Riley.
Gotcha. Alderwoman Smith. Alderman Tunney. Alderman Osterman, 3 present there. Alderwoman Silverstein. I saw you on, yep, I see you on there. And Chairman Wagerspacker present. I got the last 4 of you there.
Alderman Hopkins, present, Chairman.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Alderman Hopkins. And
Tunney, present.
I have you. Thank you. And Alderman Cardona, I see on there as well. I'll mark you as present. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a hearing regarding a plan to finance to issue not to exceed $80 million principal amount in aggregate for multifamily housing revenues on the Roosevelt Square Phase 3B project. The proceeds of the notes will be used by RS Affordable One LLC, an Illinois limited liability company, the borrower, to finance a residential rental project consisting of the acquisition of land, new construction, rehabilitation, and equipping of a portion of an affordable housing development project to include approximately 309 low to moderate income residential units, collectively called the project, within the boundaries of the city, and to pay a portion of the cost of the issuance and other costs in connection therewith. The borrower will be the initial owner of the project. RS3B LLC is an Illinois limited liability company and will be a member and manager of the borrower. The city will issue the notes pursuant to its powers as a home rule unit of government under the 1970 Constitution of the state of Illinois and an ordinance adopted by the City Council of the city. The notes will not be a general obligation of the city of the state of Illinois or any political subdivision thereof, but will be a special limited obligation of the city. The principal of premium, if any, and interest on the notes will be payable solely from amounts received from the borrower to repay its loans of the proceeds of the notes, except to the extent such principal, premium, or interest is payable from note proceeds, the income from the temporary investment in note proceeds, and monies derived from instruments delivered in connection with the loan. The notes will not constitute an indebtedness or an obligation of the city, the state of Illinois, or any political subdivision of the state of Illinois within the purview of any constitutional limitation or statutory provision. No holder of the notes will have the right to compel any exercise of the taxing power of the city, the state of Illinois, the United States of America, or any political subdivision of any of them to pay the principal of, premium, if any, or interest on the notes. Written comments relating to the plan to issue the notes must have been submitted by email to the Director of Legislation and Policy at owen.brew@cityofchicago.org, not later than 3 p.m. on July 15, 2022. Let the record reflect that there were no written comments submitted. Ladies and gentlemen, if any resident, taxpayer, or other interested person attending this hearing desires an opportunity to express their views for or against the proposed issuance of the multifamily housing revenue notes, please notify the host of the toll-free call-in number so you may have an opportunity to make those comments or statements. Is there any member of the public, taxpayer, interested person who wishes to make a statement with respect to this particular matter? Let the record reflect there's been no response to the question posed by the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the public hearing on the proposed plan for the City of Chicago to issue the not to exceed $80 million principal amount in aggregate multifamily housing revenue notes for the Roosevelt Square Phase 3B project. Let the record reflect the public hearing on this matter was concluded at 10:58 a.m. July 18, 2022. This concludes the TEFRA hearing. And give me 1 second to set up for the regular agenda, which we'll move to in a second. All right, good morning again, everyone. The Committee on Finance is hereby called to order. The time is 10:59 on Monday, July 18, 2022. Pursuant to applicable law, my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19. This meeting is conducted by video conference. For questions during the meeting, aldermen should use the raise your hand function to indicate they have a question, but I understand a couple of you are on phone, so we'll watch out for that, or please just intervene and ask for a question or a point of privilege. Members of the committee shall be given preference. If you have to make a point of order, that point of information or a point of clarification or any other while one of your colleagues is speaking, please unmute your mic and intervene nicely. We will now have a roll call to establish quorum. Please unmute your mic as your name is being called. Please note that your yes or present response will be deemed to be a yes vote when this quorum call is used as a reference vote for later items. And Alderman Hopkins, are you ready?
Present. Yes, Chairman.
All right,
Present.
Alderman Brian Hopkins, present. Alderwoman Dowell. Alderwoman King.
Present, Chair.
Vice Chair Hairston.
Present.
Alderman Sawyer.
Here.
Alderman Mitchell.
Present.
I have you. Thank you. Alderwoman Dowell. I have you.
Dowell. Sorry,
Thank
missed
you.
the call.
That's okay. Alderwoman Harris.
Here.
Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderwoman Sadowski Garza.
Present.
Alderwoman Lee.
Present.
Alderman Cardenas. Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke. Hold on, I just need to promote somebody. Alderman O'Shea, I have you on the attendee list on the phone, so I'll get you. I'll have you marked down now. Going back to Alderman Lopez. No. Alderman Moore.
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Curtis.
Present.
Alderman
Lopez here.
Brookins.
Sorry, Chairman.
Alderman Lopez, was that you?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I got you. And Brookins, Alderwoman Tabaris,
Present.
Alderwoman Scott,
Present.
Alderman Burnett,
Present.
Alderman Irvin and Taliaferro.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Alderman Marboris,
Present.
Alderwoman Austin,
Present.
Alderman Villegas,
Present.
Alderwoman Mitz. I see you on there.
Alderman Mitz is present.
Okay. Alderman Sposato,
Nick Sposato is here.
Alderman Napolitano,
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Riley,
Riley's present.
Alderwoman Smith,
Present.
Alderman Tunney,
Present.
Alderman Osterman, Alderwoman Silverstein,
Present.
and Chairman Wagasbeck is present. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a quorum. If anybody else jumps in, I'll make sure to watch for you. We do have a long agenda, but we have no public speakers signed up for today. So item number 1 is the approval of the Rule 45 report from the June meeting. Does anyone have any changes or questions?
Most so approved, Mr. Chairman, if no objections.
There are no objections. Alderwoman Austin makes a motion to approve the report by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, starting out with the Department of Housing. Item number 2 is the communication recommending a proposed substitute ordinance concerning the authority to issue multifamily housing bonds and additional financing assistance for Auburn Gresham Apartments LP for the acquisition, leasing, construction, and development and equipping of low and moderate income facilities and rental units located at 832 to 834 West 79th Street in the 17th Ward, Alderman Moore. We're joined by Kara Breams from the Department of Housing for testimony on this matter. If there are any questions after that, we will take them, and then I'll have Alderman Moore close on this item. Ms. Breams? There you go.
Ms. Breams, you're on mute.
Kara, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Thank you. Okay.
We can see the
slides.
screen, so we're good. Go ahead.
I'm
State your name for
unmuted.
the record.
My name is Kara Breams. I'm project manager in the Department of Housing, and I'm joined by Patrick Brutus from the Department of Planning and Development, who's been leading the planning process for this project. Really? Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Just ask that you elevate Patrick Brutus to a panelist on the Zoom as well. Members of the development team, David Block, Tori Barrett, and Fred Spencer are listening as well and available to answer questions if called upon. This morning, we're bringing this ordinance before you to authorize the financing and city land sale that will enable the construction of the Auburn Gresham Apartments located on 2 sites in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood at 834 and 757 West 79th Street, both in the 17th Ward. This is the first Invest Southwest project to advance to the Department of Housing's application stage and was developed in response to a request for proposals issued by the Department of Planning and Development for a city-owned site at 834 West 79th Street. The RFP aimed to jumpstart the return of strong mixed-use development with additional retail and entertainment, professional services, office, and residential uses along the 79th corridor. You see here, neighborhood investments in recent years and underway have included a police station and a new metro station. The neighborhood was also the recipient of the $10 million Chicago Prize last year, which is funding in part the adaptive reuse of a long vacant 4-story office building near 79th and Halstead into the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub, anchored by a full-service health center. as well as the nation's first renewable energy and urban family campus on a redeveloped brownfield on 83rd Street. Auburn Gresham Apartments will create 58 new construction units to complement and catalyze these investments. The original response to the RFP contemplated 56 units and 35 parking spaces on Site 1 at 79th and Green, which is shown here, following the input of the community and Alderman Moore during a multi-year community engagement process. This original application was revised in an application submitted last October, that reduced the density on the initial site, increased parking for the development, added a public plaza and green space, added community rooms, community space, and added ground floor retail and commercial with priority for a sit-down restaurant. To meet these goals and maintain a financeable project, the development team worked with the city to include a second site at 757 West 79th Street. And here is the result. The original RFP site, which is at 834 West 79th Street, will have 28 units in 3 stories with 28 parking spaces in the rear. The first floor commercial space is expected to house a community room, leasing and management site, as well as other community-focused uses. The second site, 757 West 79th Street, will have 30 units in 5 stories with 14 parking spaces. The first floor will also hold commercial space that will include offices for Clio, a local nonprofit. Both buildings will include a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units targeted to both enable young professionals and families to remain in or move to the neighborhood. I close with the sources and uses for the project, which is estimated to cost approximately $44 million. Sources are expected to include TIF, as well as multifamily loan and grant funds. As envisioned in the original Invest Southwest RFP, the city will also provide city-owned land to make the project possible. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Kara. Are there any questions for Ms. Breams? Okay, Alderman Moore.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate this opportunity. First of all, I want to thank the Department of Planning and even especially the constituents who were definitely involved in this. When this project first came about, and we didn't have a project. The mayor was looking for proposals, and unfortunately, we only had one proposal. And I say unfortunately because you always want more, but fortunately, the team that did present was a good team, a well diverse team, and a team that cares about the community. The plan, as anyone always knows, once presented, goes to the community. When that plan went to the community for the 50 plus units, the community rejected that by right. Anytime a community don't like something, they should reject it. And the community as a whole rejected it. More meetings was held just with the voices of the community. And the community put the ideas out, and the community is the one who came up with 2 different site locations, which I think was a good plan. Actually, they even touched on a 3rd one for additional units, which is being further discussed at some point. But they came up with these 2 sites, and the parking concern was an issue. But when you have a unit that now addresses that parking concern, 1 for 1, 28 units, 28 parking spaces, I think the developer did their due diligence to get that done. And when you're doing changing on a block or in a community area where you've had vacant spaces for over 20 years, we know that sometimes change is difficult. When you serve a ward with close to 50,000 residents, you're never going to make everyone happy, but you listen to the majority, and the majority of the residents agree with this project, while some with probably some legitimate reasons, while others, their own personal agendas, may be apprehensive to this. The overall community was involved. Planning and development was very active and making sure, as well as myself, Alderman David Moore and the other aldermen that were involved in the Auburn Gresham community made sure that these voices were heard. And this is what we came out with, which is a good project as we bring the metro station to 79th Street, as we're bringing new small businesses to 79th Street, and as we bring in a Healthy Hub site to 79th Street, is going to make 79th Street a thriving, walkable community with amenities that the residents want. So I am excited to carry this project forward and to make this Auburn Gresham community continue to make it a better community as our home sales continue to increase, not only in volume, but also in price. But let me say about another thing about this project, which is one of our concerns since things are increasing in price. And that's a lot what we deal with in our communities is affordable rents. And as people are working, some livable wage, some not. $1,500 a month for 1 and 2 bedroom is just extremely difficult for people. And so what we have here is affordable housing for working families, so that we can keep them in our communities so that they can thrive and hopefully become homeowners. And so again, this is a project I support, and I wish a favorable vote from my colleagues on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Moore. 1 second, please. Alderman Sposato.
Thank you, Chairman. I just have one, and David, I 100% support you in anything you do. I consider you a good friend and a good ally. But I just have one question. You said so people could stay in the community. Do people from Auburn Gresham have priority over this project? Because certainly on the northwest side, people from the communities don't have priority. So I'm just wondering, do the people from Auburn Gresham have priority for these projects?
You're talking about priority to live
in his housing.
No, it's open to anybody who wants to live in Auburn Gresham.
Okay.
So it's not just residents that just have priority. It's residents from throughout the city that want to live here. We have students that at Kennedy King who are looking for good housing. And so it's anybody that's throughout this city that want to live there.
Okay, thank you. And I just a little misunderstood what you said, but you 100% have my support, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And with that, before we move on a full vote there was a motion, or there's a substitute sent Thursday, and Alderman Sposato makes a motion to accept that substitute by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. May I now have a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. Alderman Sposato so moves. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Aye. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you, Alderman Moore.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Sposato. All right. Item 3 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to issue multifamily housing bonds and additional financing assistance for Barbara Jean Wright Preservation, LP, for the acquisition, development, and equipping of multifamily low-income housing for the Barbara Jean Wright Court Apartments located at 1354 South Morgan Street in the 11th and 25th wards. We are joined by Dinah Wayne from the Department of Planning and Development for testimony on this matter.
Hey, everyone can see my screen and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, a double bonus.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Chairman.
Just state your name for the record first.
Oh yes, my name is Dina Wayne. I'm with the Department of Housing, and I'm here to talk about the Barbara Jean Wright Apartments. As the chairman said, it's in the 25th and 11th wards. We're here today to talk about the full financing. And again, it's in the Roosevelt Racine TIF. This happened before. I'm not getting, okay. This may sound familiar because we had come with a bond inducement ordinance previously, 272 units in 12 garden style apartments, and then also 15 two-story townhouses in the University Village, Little Italy area. It's a rehab of an existing building. And they're also planning on constructing a 4,000 square foot community center. The area outlined in red is the Barbara Jean Wright Apartments as it is laid out today. And this rehab will be estimated to cost $82 million, so give or take. We are here today to ask for financing for the city to issue up to $45 million in bonds, for TIF in the amount of $4 million. We're likely going to give it either multifamily loan funds or Chicago Recovery Plan money, about $4 million there. You can see the unit mix here on the right. What we're excited about is it is a lot of large units, so 272 units, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms. The majority at either 50% or 60% AMI with some market rate units. This is pictures of some of the existing buildings. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Are there any questions? All right, did any, Alderman Urban?
Chairman Wegesbeck, this is Alderman Lee.
Yes, let me have Alderman Urban speak first, and then I'll
Sure.
have you close. I'll have you close on the item.
No problem.
Alderman Urban? There you go.
Yeah, how you doing? All right, how you doing? Quick question. The development team, this is one of these transitioning periods. This location will be in the 28th Ward once we enter into moving forward with the maps. Just want to get a sense of the development team and the construction team here and the makeup of both.
So the Jonathan Gross Companies is out of New York. Let me see if I don't have it as part of this presentation. We do have a breakout of the staff diversity, but I don't have it on this slide. I can certainly get it to you through the chair. You asked another question though about, was the financing or?
It was also in relation to the construction. It was my understanding that there was an African-American contractor doing this work, and then now there's not. So I'm just I want to understand what the game plan is going forward with this.
There was Powers Construction was one of the general contractors, and then they the main contractor pulled out, and then the developer asked Powers if they wanted to be the full contractor on the deal, and they felt they didn't have capacity because of everything else they had going on. So they rebid it and came up with a new contractor. So they didn't, Powers didn't feel that they could continue on with this because their choice would have been, they just felt that they were over capacity at this point.
So who are the players then? You said it's not Powers, you're saying it's somebody. So who's on first here?
Let me look for that while we're talking. I have to get a different slide. We also have the developer listening and they could join, but I think I have that information.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Is that Alderman Burnett?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Would that be Powers or Power and Sons?
Wait a minute. Did I put myself on mute? No. Powers and Sons they're started in Indiana. Is that the same company?
That's Powers and Sons. It's
sorry, you're right. Okay, Powers and Sons.
Two different companies.
Exactly, you're right. You're right, Alderman. Powers and Sons. They were the ones that felt they no longer had capacity. Yeah, Chair.
I'm sorry. I think he was just asking for clarification there. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Alderwoman Dowell, I have you next.
Well, just let me be clear. If there is inadequate African-American participation on a project with a community that's 100% African-American, that doesn't make sense to me. And we're going to have to, review that. So we need to get that information back to the chair before Wednesday for this matter, if you, through the chair, if that would be possible.
You know what? I'm sorry. Also, I see that I misspoke. I got a clarification from the developer that GMA, I was confusing my deals here with another one in a different deal. It was GMA that was MBE, and Weiss was the majority contractor. And when Weiss pulled out, GMA, so forget Powers and Sons, was GMA felt that they didn't have capacity to continue on their own.
Dina, is Carintha part of the development team?
She is.
Okay. Why don't we have her speak?
Okay.
Alderman, go ahead, Dina. Go ahead.
And just to clarify that Skender Construction then is the company that won the bid when they rebid it.
Okay. Alderman Irvin, hold on a second. We have Carintha from the development team. Did you wish to speak?
Yes, good morning. Can everyone hear me? This is Carintha Walsh from Jonathan Rose Companies.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yes, so to answer Alderman Irvin's question about the participation of the general contractor, in February of this year, Weiss Builders decided to stop working on the development and gave us notice of their intention to stop working with us. At that time, we communicated directly with GMA, led by Cornelius Griggs, and he had let us know that he didn't have the capacity to take on a development of this size. And so we were considering, we had been planning to, we had gone through most of our approvals and we were planning to start construction in late April, early May. We were forced to basically go out to bid for a new general contractor. We did extend the courtesy to other Black-owned general contractors, and Dina may be remembering that Powers and Sons was one of the people that had been an interested party, and unfortunately they had said that they were they didn't have the capacity to take on a deal of this size, so they decided not to bid. Skender Construction, however, was the general contractor who did bid, and the one that was ultimately selected. And to, I guess, any further question about minority participation, they're definitely not a minority business enterprise. However, they're well aware of all of the requirements of the city of Chicago, and will be completing those. And we are excited that they bid. It's kind of a difficult position we're in, trying to close on all of our financing in the face of rising construction costs and other issues. So we have actually selected Skender Construction.
Alderman Irvin, can I let Alderwoman Dowell intervene as well while the developer's representative is on?
Sure, go ahead, Alderman Dowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am not familiar with the Jonathan Rose Company, so this Carintha, what's her last name, Ross, can I get your contact information? One of the buildings that you all currently own or have an affiliate own at 2101 South Michigan is in my ward, and I want to have a direct line to management ownership.
Sure, absolutely. So my phone
and
number.
Do you have offices in Chicago?
Currently, we do not have offices in Chicago. I think we are going to have property management offices at each of the sites that we are owning. Would you like me to email you my contact information or share?
Yeah, Dina can get you my contact information, and I would like an email, a contact to the Rose Company.
Okay, absolutely.
Where are you all located in New York?
We are around about 45th Street and 5th Avenue, close to Rockefeller Center.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Irvin, I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. We got
I
enough
thought maybe you
time
were
here.
tag teaming on the same issue there.
Oh, no, it's no problem at all. So here's my concern. When this deal was brought, to me, because the financing and the TIF came out of Western Ogden, because the Roosevelt Racine TIF has no money. It was brought to us as a deal, again, with 28th Ward is predominantly African-American. The project that we're working on is predominantly African-American. We want to see Bobby Jean Wright improved. However, we want to see economic parity in the improvement that is going forward. And what was presented then and what it is now, it is not. So I am concerned about that. And I'm not getting the same story from the general contracting community that you guys are telling us about a lack of capacity or the ability to get it done. So those are two things that are a concern to me. I'd be happy to sit down and talk with anybody on this, but I am concerned that if we don't see the necessary parity, when we look at the community that this is sitting in and where the money came from, that we gotta fix that, and hopefully you all can fix that before we vote on this on Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman. Dina, why don't you, it might be helpful if Alderman Irvin wants to forward his information as well to Ms. Walsh and have a discussion if that's the appropriate person. Let me go to Alderman Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to add, so I hear that you say that Skinder is now the general contractor. So who's the subcontractor? Is this a CHA development or no?
Carintha, do you want to respond to that or?
Sure. So in terms of the subcontractors, Skinder right now is creating a subcontractor list. They had, once they bid, I think their process is to bid to subcontractors. So I don't have that list for you at this minute. Can you repeat your second question?
Is this a CHA project?
Okay, yes, thank you. So CHA will be providing rental subsidies in the form of project-based vouchers to the extent that residents decide to elect project-based vouchering. They are not providing any capital and do not have any ownership.
Oh, so this is not CHA's property?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It had been owned by CCDC, Tony Fusco, and he's, divesting himself slowly of his properties, and that's where Jonathan Rose is stepping in.
All right, thank you, Dina. Alderman Lee, are you ready?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to offer a comment here. I used to live right next door to Barbara Jean Wright Court's apartments, and I'm happy that improvements are going to be made on the properties over there. So I'm in full support of this, provided all of the issues around minority vendors is worked out.
Okay, thank you. And Dina, if you could just with Alderwoman Dowell, Alderman Irvin, provide that information and see if we can get a conversation before the full city council and some of these issues at least cleared up or resolved if possible. That would be helpful. Okay.
Chair, yes.
All right, thank you. And with that, Alderwoman Lee makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. And we will look forward to getting that information to our colleagues before, hopefully before the end of the day. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you. Delayed.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, item number 4. Item 4 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to amend the Roosevelt Square 3B ordinance to reflect restructuring availability of financial funding types, including increased Series A and Series B multifamily housing mortgage revenue bonds, and separating projects as bond project market rate project, and/or museum rehabilitation project located at various residential buildings between Maxwell Street, Morgan Street, 14th Place, Racine Avenue, and Blue Island Avenue in the 25th Ward. We're joined by Anna Booth from the Department of Planning and Development for testimony on the matter. And this is actually 25th and 28th Ward. So Alderman Irvin, I'll have you close on this item. Don't see the 25th Ward Alderman, so I'll have you close on that. And Anna, are you ready?
I am. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Wagensbeck and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Anna Booth from the Department of Housing. So before you today is the Roosevelt Square 3B transaction, which is located in the 25th and 28th wards in the near West Side community area and the Roosevelt Racine TIF redevelopment area. The aldermen are Byron Sigil Lopez and Jason Irvin, respectfully. The developer for this transaction is Related Midwest. So this is the second time that Roosevelt Square 3B has been presented to this committee. It was presented to Finance Committee on February 17th and authorized by City Council on February 23rd of this year. I am back before you today to request authorization to increase the mortgage revenue bonds. Under its original passage, Finance Committee and City Council approved mortgage revenue bonds not to exceed $67 million. The request today is the authorization to increase the issuance to not to exceed $80 million. The requested increase is necessary to cover the rising costs of the general contractor's pricing, increased labor and material costs, and fluctuating interest rates. So all other aspects of the deal, but for the budget remain the same and no additional TIF funds are being requested or provided. As mentioned, the requested action today is the authorization to increase the issuance of mortgage revenue bonds from not to exceed $67 million to not to exceed $80 million. Roosevelt Square is a CHA Plan 4 transaction, and Roosevelt Square 3B will consist of new construction and rehabilitation. There will be a total of 222 new mixed income rental units, of which 207 will be contained in 3 newly constructed buildings, and 15 will be constructed in the rehabilitated National Public Housing Museum. The remaining 184 units comprise the rehabilitation portion of this transaction. All 184 units are located on scattered sites in 3-story walk-up buildings, which were built in phase 1 of this development. Of the 3 new buildings, 1 will be located at Taylor and Racine Streets and will contain 67 mixed income rental units and tenant amenity spaces in a 6-story elevator building. The remaining 2 new buildings will be located in the 1200 and 1300 blocks of Roosevelt Road and will also be 6-story elevated buildings. Each of those buildings will contain 70 mixed income rental units and tenant amenity spaces. The National Public Housing Museum is located at Ada and Taylor Streets, which is directly across from the Taylor Street Library and Apartments. The building will be totally rehabilitated and then bifurcated to contain 15 mixed income rental units in the northern portion of the building and the museum in the southern portion of the building. The 184 rehab units are on scattered sites and highlighted in green on this map. These units are housed in 3-story walk-ups, and I have a rendering for you there. That is the rendering of the walk-up buildings. Of the 222 newly constructed units, 80 will rent to CHA families and or individuals. 45 will rent to families and or individuals at the 60% area median income and below levels, and 97 will rent to market rate families and or individuals. Currently, the total development costs are approximately $160,850,000, which is an approximately $8,540,000 increase from February's total development cost of $152,310,100. The city is providing $17 million in TIF funds and $2.5 million in donation tax credits. And again, these amounts have not changed from the previous authorization, which was approved in February. Other funding will consist of CHA funds, private mortgages, and existing reserves. The team is still looking to close this transaction in the third quarter, with construction completion to occur in the fourth quarter of 2023. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Anna. So as you can see there, there's been TIF ported from Western Ogden TIF. Is that correct?
That is correct, of 17 million.
Okay, 4 different installments. Alderman Urban, did you wish to comment on this item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is the Roosevelt Square redevelopment. And again, this is not far from the last item we were talking about. And this item has a 100% MBEGC team. So we know we can do this. It can be done. We just have to have the will to get it done. So I hope that we can use these as templates moving forward, especially in communities of color, where the recipients and all the people that are going to work and live here. So we just want the economic parity that we see in other communities. So I'm hopeful that we get this done, and this can be a template and an example of how we can move these types of deals forward, not only for CHA, but for affordable development across our city. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman. So with that, Alderwoman Mitz makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of pardon me, somebody's actually wishing to speak on it. Alderman Villegas, please go ahead.
Yeah, Chairman, who's the team? Alderman Urban mentions all MBE team. I was just curious who the team is. Thanks.
Gil, the team is Boa Construction.
Brown and Moman.
Brown and Moman. Go ahead. All right.
Yes.
And then there's another one too, as well. They're doing the walk-ups. They are a Latino company. They're doing the walk-ups, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Anna, did you get everyone on that?
I will check that, Chairman, and make sure. We have Brown and Moman, JGMA, BOA. We are missing one, so I will report that back to the chair.
Okay, and we will send it out to everyone just to clarify. Thank you, Anna.
Thank
All right.
you, Chairman. And I just wanted to emphasize that the fact that this is a template of how this types of developments can be done. I echo Alderman Urban's comments that we need to challenge developers and challenge folks that want to get incentives from the city to make sure that they're pushing the envelope as it relates to minority and women business enterprise.
I can't hear him. Am I the only one that can't hear him?
Alderman Villegas, if you just wish to repeat that for the record.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you were just a little soft there.
I appreciate that. Sorry, I'm having problems. I'll speak louder. I just wanted to say that I echo Alderman Urban's comments around challenging the opportunities and making sure that as these developments come about, that we're pushing the envelope and making sure that there's significant opportunities for minority women business enterprise programs. Thank you.
Alderman Sposato, did you get that? Did you hear him now?
That Alderman Urban and Alderman Villegas want minorities to work on these projects. Is that what I heard?
Yes, Alderman Sposato.
Okay, I heard that.
All right.
It's not just him and I. So just be clear on that.
That's true.
But you two are the two speaking on it now, correct? I mean, I know everybody stands for that. I understand that. But right now, it was just Gil and you that said this, correct?
Yeah, the chairman of the Black Caucus and the chairman of the Latino Caucus. Yeah.
Got it.
That's
okay.
right.
I hear you loud and clear, Alderman Urban. I didn't hear Alderman Villegas. So it was a simple question to speak up a little. That's all.
All right.
Alderman Sposato, yes, if you can hear me now.
Next, he'll be doing a Verizon commercial. All right. I have a motion to, yes, Ann, go ahead.
Chairman, the fourth company is Blackwood. This is Anna Booth from the Department of Housing. The fourth company is Blackwood.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So appreciate that quick clarification from you. All right. I still have a motion pending from Alderwoman Mitz to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Sorry, Alderman Hopkins, did you have a comment as well on that one? I apologize.
No, I was just voting on.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, item number 5 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to issue language of intent to issue multifamily housing revenue bonds to Austin United Alliance Development Company, LLC, Heartland Housing, Inc., for construction of mixed income housing located at 5224 West Chicago Avenue in the 27th Ward. We are joined by Jiao Chen from the Department of Planning and Development for testimony on the matter. And if you could introduce yourself and proceed, and then we will have Alderman Burnett close on this item.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yixiao Shen, Financial Planning Analyst at Department of Housing. Together with me is the project manager, Benjamin Andrews from the developer team. The project I'm presenting today is Austin United Alliance Residential for the bond inducement. The project is supported by 37th Ward and the 29th Ward Alderwoman. The residential building is the first phase of the Austin Invest Southwest project selected from DPD, which won the RFP in Austin commercial redevelopment area and expected to be closed and start construction this year. During the construction period, an adjacent commercial project, the Laramie State Bank rehabilitation will be completed. The request for July City Council is to issue up to $15 million in tax-exempt housing revenue bonds for the benefit of Austin United Alliance Development, LLC. The project will be a new construction, mixed-income, multi-story apartment building that includes a green roof, public plaza, social spaces, and outdoor art. The proposed site is at the northwestern corner of West Chicago Avenue and North Laramie Avenue, 6 miles west of Chicago's downtown. The total site area is around 100,000 square feet. The land is currently empty, except for a small one-story abandoned building that will be removed. It covers 7 parcels, which 6 parcels owned by the developer. 1 parcel was acquired by the city of Chicago for around $28,000 and will be conveyed to the project for $1. The building will provide 78 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom rental units, of which 65% or 51 units will be affordable to tenants earning 60% and 50% or less AMI, and the remaining 35% or 27 units will be rented without income restrictions. Tenants will pay for electricity, including the cost of electric cooking. The general partner is a joint venture between Heartland Housing and Oak Park Regional Housing Center, both BIPOC-led nonprofit firms. BOA Construction is their selected GC. The proposed total development cost is about $45 million. The application of the project requests grants from the city for the city land and up to $12.9 million from TIF. DOH soft fund, as well as a twin deal from low-income housing tax credit, including $1.5 million per year from 9% LATAC, as well as up to $15 million bond being issued from 4% LATAC and will generate $9 million to the equity. Other funding sources including a private mortgage, ComEd grant, and a GP equity. The acquisition of 6 privately owned parcels is about $215,000 as a total, plus $1 from city-owned parcel. The hard cost, including construction and construction contingency, is about $37 million, and the total soft cost will be $7.3 million. That covers my introduction. We're happy to answer any questions and concerns from you today.
Thank you, Yishao. Sorry for speaking your name incorrectly first. And just to correct the record, this is in the 37th ward, not the 27th. So
thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's what my hand raised for.
yes, and Alderman Burnett, my apologies.
That's
but Alderman
okay, but I'll take it though, if they want to give it to me.
I was gonna say.
No, that's
surprise,
why I'm
surprise.
correcting it. I know you got it all, Walter.
I bet you all want this project. So Alderman Burnett, did you have any other comments on it? Good project.
I commend Alderman Mitz and Alderman Teleferro, and also the Department of Planning with the Invest Southwest. I know that they went through a lot to get where they are today. There was a lot of attention on this, and they worked through it. And also commend the fact that BOA is going to be in charge of this development also. It looked like it's predominantly minorities involved with it. I think that's great. This site has been in existence on the West Side for a long time. I'm glad they were able to preserve the building and build these housings there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Mitz, did you wish to make any comment on the full project?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if you hear noise, excuse me, I'm at another event. But I really want to say thanks to the team and everyone that was involved. We've worked on this project for a couple of years now. Started off a little rocky. A lot of attention was given on it. But we've been able to work out those issues, and we have been moving forward. The community supported, and we are looking forward to the support from the members of the committee on this item, so that we can take out this eyesore that's in our neighborhood and start putting the on a major corner, Chicago and Laramie, and it would really send a message of economic development on this corridor, along with other projects that are already going on. But this is a major one that we need to take out this eyesore here. And it's a landmark building at the same time. So it's going to be great for all of the programs that are going to be coming into the building, along with residential for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. So on behalf of Alderman Teleferro as well, Alderman Burnett makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you, Yishao.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute a redevelopment agreement and sale agreement with Englewood Connect LLC, including partial right-of-way vacation of South Green Street and provision of financial assistance of city funds and tax increment financing for Englewood Mall redevelopment project located at 6204 South Green Street in the 16th Ward. We are joined by Terrence Johnson from the Department of Planning and Development for testimony on this matter.
Thank you, Chairman. Can you see my screen and hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Good morning, Chairman Wagaspack and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Terrence Johnson, Assistant Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of a redevelopment agreement between the city and Englewood Connect LLC for the purpose of developing phase 2 of the Englewood Square project as part of the Mayor's Invest Southwest initiative. This agreement will authorize the use of $6 million in TIF assistance, as well as the sale of vacant city-owned parcels and the sale of vacant city-owned historic firehouse for $1. The Englewood Connect project is located roughly at 6200 South Green Street in the Englewood community area in the 16th Ward, Alderman Coleman. The site is part of the city's Invest Southwest RFP program. In August of 2020, DPD released an RFP seeking qualified developers to begin phase 2 of Englewood Square project. Phase 1, just south of the site, was completed in 2017, contains 47,000 square feet of grocery anchored retail space. In addition to the phase 1 project, and now this phase 2 project, the proposed Thrive Inglewood project will result in 61 units of mixed income housing on the westernmost developable parcel of the site as well. The parcels being conveyed for this project, for this portion of the project, are shown here outlined in red. It includes the Chicago Landmark Firehouse to the west, the to be vacated Green Street, and the two northernmost parcels to the east here. The developer is proposing to develop the project in phases. Phase 1A will convert the existing 9,000 square foot Chicago Landmark Firehouse into a commercial kitchen and event space. This is the current condition of the firehouse. This is a rendering of what the Landmark Firehouse will look like once repurposed. Phases 1B and 1C will add a plaza with landscape features and gathering areas on the to be vacated Green Street, and the construction of 8,000 square feet of community space featuring local businesses called the Living Room. The cost for phases 1A, B, and C is estimated to be $14 million. If approved, the agreement will authorize up to $6 million in TIF assistance for the project, or 43% of the total project costs. Funds will be provided as reimbursement of eligible costs in 3 payments: $750,000 at closing, $3.25 million upon completion of phase 1A, and $2 million upon completion of phase 1B and C. DPD is supportive of the project as it will provide new business and economic development improvements up to the Inglewood community. It will renovate a vacant Chicago Landmark Firehouse and return vacant city-owned parcels to productive use. The project has strong support from the community and aldermen. I am joined by Zeb McLaurin, principal of Inglewood Connect LLC, a joint venture between McLaurin Development Partners and Farpoint Development, and we are happy to answer any questions the committee may have. I thank you for your favorable consideration of this request.
Thank you, Terrence. Looks like a very excellent project. But let me go to Alderman Villegas for questions.
Thank you, Chairman. I just have one question. Terrence, you said it's a vacant firehouse. Now it's coming back on the tax rolls. What's the projected tax bill for this project once it's completed?
I don't have that in front of me, Alderman Villegas, but I can pull that for you and get it to you.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. I know we're doing $6 million in TIF, but over time it'll come back. I was just curious as to how long.
How quickly? All right, I'll get that for you.
Thank you, Terrence.
Thank you, Alderman Villegas. Are there any other questions? Alderwoman Dowell? Okay. All right. So Alderman Villegas makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. And all in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. And Terrence, if you could get that information through the chair to Alderman Villegas, that would be helpful.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this one.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, item number 7 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute a redevelopment agreement, provision of Chicago Recovery Fund, community development grant, and tax increment financing assistance to Sputnik Coffee for land acquisition and construction located at 4743 South Tallman Avenue in the 15th Ward. We're joined by Tim Jeffries from the Department of Planning and Development for testimony on this matter, and the Alderman is available. Correct? Alderman Lopez will close on this matter. And actually, Tim, are you doing this one or is Terrence?
I'm doing this one, Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, good morning, Chairman Waguespack and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Tim Jeffries, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of a redevelopment agreement between the city and Sputnik Coffee Company for the purpose of authorizing the use of $1.2 million in TIF assistance to redevelop an approximately 27,000 square foot building for both industrial and commercial uses. The project initially applied for city funds as a Chicago Recovery Plan community development grant applicant. DPD, however, felt the project was a better fit for TIF given the overall project scope, the location, as well as the limited availability of CRP grant resources. The property is located at 4743 South Tallman Avenue in the Brighton Park community area, the 15th Ward, and the Stevenson-Brighton TIF district. This map shows an aerial view of the site right here. I'll note that the site is 2 blocks west of the new Chicago Park District headquarters property, which is currently under construction and is located here. This photo shows the current conditions of the industrial property. The building was originally constructed in 1929 and needs extensive structural work in order to bring it to a state of good repair. For example, you can see in this photo, the south parapet wall appears to be buckling and is in need of replacement. The project will stabilize the 27,000 square foot building as well as make it more functional and conducive to modern industrial requirements. When complete, the property will be occupied by Sputnik Coffee, which will use the space as their coffee roastery, as well as operating a retail cafe. Sputnik originally opened in 2018 and currently operates a cafe at 2057 West 51st Street in the Back of the Yards neighborhood, as well as selling coffee to over 300 grocery stores throughout the Midwest. If approved, the redevelopment agreement will authorize up to $1.2 million in TIF assistance, or 42% of the total project cost. In addition to TIF, the project will utilize a combined $1.7 million in business equity and bank loans. In total, the project represents $2.9 million of investment into the Brighton Park neighborhood. Once complete, this rendering gives a rough idea of what the building will look like. Overall, DPD believes this project represents a smart investment into a small business that is part of the city's strong food economy. It will also advance the overall goal of making clustered investments in small businesses in historically disinvested neighborhoods. For those reasons, DPD is recommending the use of TIF for this project. I thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm also joined by Boba Kagan, one of the co-owners of Sputnik Coffee.
All right, thank you, Tim. Alderman Lopez is not present at this time. Do you have a letter of support from him, I'm assuming? Or should I assume he has one?
We don't have a letter on file, but we have spoken with him numerous times on this project, and he is supportive, yes.
Okay. Let me go to Alderman Burnett for questions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just want to know how many jobs are going to be created, or how many new jobs are going to go into this facility?
Sure. It will create 3 full-time and 3 part-time positions, which will, as well as they'll retain 2 part-time and move to, they'll retain 2 part-time and they'll retain those 2 part-time will move to full-time. So when everything's said and done, there'll be 7 full-time positions and 3 part-time positions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Seeing as there's no further questions, then I'll have Alderman Sadlowski Garza makes the motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present. For the roll call used to establish quorum, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you, Tim. Your next one as well. You are the next one there. Item number 8. This is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute a redevelopment agreement and provision of neighborhood opportunity funds and tax increment financing assistance to Dreams Realty and Design Incorporated, doing business as Dior Realty Group Incorporated, for renovation to office space for the property located at 834 to 840 East 87th Street in the 8th Ward. We are joined again by Tim Jeffries from Planning and Development for testimony on this matter.
Good morning, Chairman Wagasback and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Tim Jeffries, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of a redevelopment agreement between the city and Dior Realty Group for the purposes of authorizing approximately $85,000 in TIF funds, or sorry, $850,000 in TIF funds in order to redevelop a vacant 2,000 square foot commercial building. This project initially applied for city assistance through the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, but as with the previous item, DPD felt that the project was a better fit for TIF given the overall scope, the project location, as well as the extremely limited availability of NOF resources. The property is located at 834 East 87th Street in the Chatham community area, the 87th Ward, or the 8th Ward, excuse me, and the 87th and Cottage Grove TIF district. This map shows an aerial view of the site at the, this map shows an aerial view of the site at the corner of 87th and Maryland. It is 1 block east of the strategic intersection of 87th and Cottage Grove, and 2 blocks west of the 87th and Metro stations. You can see those right, there's 87th and Cottage Grove, and the Metro station is right here. It is also immediately north of the proposed Fatburger project here in the former Seaway Bank building, which is also an NOF finalist. This is the property as it stands today. The building is in stable condition, but it has been vacant since 2016, and improvements are needed to bring it into a state of good repair. The proposed project will redevelop this existing 20,000 square foot building for commercial uses. The property will be primarily occupied by the applicant's business, Dior Realty Group, which is a real estate brokerage, interior design firm, and title company. Dior is a certified MWBE firm with the city of Chicago. In addition to this, the applicant has plans to lease the remaining ground floor space to both a coffee shop and a UPS store. If approved, the redevelopment agreement will authorize up to $851,150 in TIF assistance, or 55% of the total project cost. In addition to TIF, the project will utilize a combined $700,000 in developer equity and traditional debt. In total, this project represents an investment of approximately $1.5 million in Chatham. This rendering shows what the project will look like after the completion of the project. Overall, DPD believes that this project is important because it will result in the reoccupation of a vacant property on a critical commercial corridor. The project will also advance DPD's overall goal of making investments in small businesses in historically disinvested neighborhoods. And for these reasons, DPD is recommending the use of TIF for this project. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And I'm also joined today by Tawana Dennis, the owner of Dior Realty and the developer.
All right, thank you, Tim. Just a quick question. You know, you showed the existing building. It had an old sign on it. I'm not sure how old it was. It looks 70-ish, 70s type sign. And then in the new one, it was covered up by an overlay, text overlay. Are they reused? It looks like they're reusing that.
They will keep that sort of mid-century, sort of Astro era sign, which it's great for me. I love that sign.
Just curious, yeah, it kind of adds a little touch to it. So she'll be able to put up her own sign.
I believe that's
utilizing that. Okay. And does that require any funding for the heart? You know, just the infrastructure on that, the roofing or anything like that? It's solid.
It's all in what you have in front of you today. So I expect that is covered.
Thank you. Just curious about that. Alderman Burnett, and then I'll have Alderwoman Harris close on that.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to know how many jobs is going to be potentially produced here. And also just want to make a comment that it's exciting to see so many things happening in these areas where things haven't been happening for a while. So this is good to see our money being spent in areas where it needs to be spent. So.
Alderman Burnett, I'll get you later this afternoon through the chair of the jobs numbers. I don't have them on my briefing sheet right now, but I'll get them for you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, Alderman. Yeah, we'll send that through. I saw UPS, coffee, and obviously the realty, so it should be a pretty significant number. And Alderwoman Harris, ready?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. We are thrilled about having the opportunity to bring what we call the old Travis building back to life. In its heyday, Travis was a very active parcel, lots of positive activities and lots of traffic there, positive traffic. It's gone dark for a minute, but I can say that I am just delighted that Dream Realty is going to come and bring back and breathe back life into this community and become a tax-paying parcel to help support some of the business infrastructure around there. And so we're delighted today as a community to have her here and have her to be a part of what we will be doing and changing the condition of the corridor. So she will be a breath of fresh air to this corridor, and the community is simply delighted. So thank you, and I hope that my colleagues can support this project.
Thank you. And seeing that there are no further questions, Alderman Riley makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you, Tim. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tim's sticking with us here on item number 9, which is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to amend the redevelopment agreement with Our Revival LLC, Our Revival Chicago Operating Company LLC, Southside Revival NFP for the Ramova Theater project located at 3518 South Halsted Street in the 11th Ward. Tim Jeffries will provide testimony on this item as well. And Tim, if I'm not mistaken, we've had this item before us, or this project before us a couple times before.
I have, yes, that's correct. Yes, thank you, Chairman Wagesback. Again, for the record, my name is Tim Jeffries, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request the second amendment to the previously approved redevelopment agreement between the City of Chicago and Our Revival Chicago LLC for the purpose of redeveloping the Ramova Theater. The project is located at 3518 South Halsted Street in the Bridgeport community area, the 11th Ward, and the 35th and Halsted TIF district. The subject property is the historic Ramova Theater, which originally opened in 1929, but has been vacant since 1985 when the theater closed. It had been in the City of Chicago's property inventory for approximately 20 years until it was conveyed to Our Revival Chicago as part of a TIF RDA to redevelop the property as a 39,000 square foot music venue, restaurant, and brewery at a now estimated cost of roughly $38 million. As I mentioned, an RDA for this project was previously approved by City Council, which authorized the use of $6.82 million in TIF assistance, as well as the conveyance of the Ramova Theater building itself. The project is currently under construction and is approximately 20% complete. Since the approval of those previously approved RDAs in April of 2021, we have seen a simply staggering increase in the construction costs across all sectors by at least 25 to 30% over the last year. The primary cause of this has been ongoing supply chain issues driving up material prices, as well as increasing labor costs. It is important for me to note here that this is not a Ramova Theater or an Our Revival Chicago problem. It's a national and global issues that are really outside of everyone's control here. These issues have and will continue to negatively impact virtually every single project that is in my portfolio. But the overall timing for the Ramova Theater is probably the worst and has created some really singular issues for this project. The result of all of these negative impacts on the Ramova Theater has been about a 35% increase in the total project budget by $10.1 million. What we are proposing to address this issue and ensure that the Ramova Theater project is able to be completed, we're asking for an amendment to address 3 critical changes. The first is to increase the amount of funding provided to the project by approximately $2.3 million. which will increase the total to $9.1 million in total TIF assistance. I fully acknowledge that this is a significant increase. It is important, however, to note that the percentage of TIF within the budget is not increasing. It was at 24% under the old budget. It is at 24% under this new proposed budget. The remaining increase will be addressed by other additional funding sources that are already within the deal. We believe that this is a fair approach that addresses the issues that were entirely outside of the developer's control, and is frankly sort of an all hands on deck solution amongst not just the city, but also the other funding sources as well. Second, we'll slightly modify the payment structure. Previously, we would have provided 100% of the funds after the project was 25% complete in exchange for the developer providing us with a letter of credit as security. With this amendment, we will instead disperse just 50% during construction and hold back the remaining 50% until the issuance of the certificate of completion, and there will be no letter of credit. This approach is generally consistent with most of our RDAs. Finally, we would also amend the completion date to May 31st of 2023 to account for all of the delays associated with securing materials and labor and things like that I've already mentioned. So overall, we don't relish asking for this request or amendment, but we do believe that these changes represent a balanced approach that address a substantial financial challenge and ensures that an important project is still able to move forward while not increasing the risk profile to the city of Chicago. I thank you for your consideration of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm also joined by Tyler Nevius and Andrew Scott from the Remova development team.
Thank you, Tim. Let me go to Alderman Sposato for a question.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Tim. When you're done with this project, Tim, you need to come to my ward and work on my my theater, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks. Just a simple question, Tim or Alderwoman Lee. Is there parking for this place? I know we always hear about people needing parking and everything. Is it just the theater and whatever and everything, but no parking? You just park wherever, or just curious? I obviously 100% support it. And, hopefully I could get on your radar for my theater, but do they have parking there?
Yeah, there is parking. The developers have a parcel right across the streets. It's several lots with parking available there.
Oh, good, because we know how people in the neighborhood complain about people parking in front of their house. I didn't want to see you get beat up over, Nicole.
No,
so
indeed, no. Thank you. Thank you. Good looking out, Alderman Sposato. But yes, there's absolutely parking there.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Sposato. Are there any other questions? I know this has been on the table for about 2 years, Tim, correct? So
yeah,
maybe
longer, but
yeah. But it seemed, I think the question is, despite the increased cost, they have been moving forward with this project at a good pace, or other than the construction costs going up?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, they're on site now. We have already conveyed the land to that. We executed the previous RDA, and I think as things stand today, they're about 20% finished.
Okay.
And I will just add to their credit, they have not stopped work either pending this. They are still moving forward. And so they have every intention of completing this project.
Okay, very good. Alderwoman Lee, would you like to close on this item?
Yes, I would love to. I just want to add to Tim's comments. Tyler and the group working on the development have been really incredible partners. I know I've only been here for 3.5 months, but in that time I've met with them several times. And when it became clearly apparent that there was going to be a need for additional funds, they didn't come to us immediately. They actually went out and found their own funding from several different sources before they even came back to look for more funding from the TIF. They've been incredible partners. They've continued to work on this. Tim himself has, moved into the community and is a very active participant in this. You can find him there pretty much any given day. So would really appreciate favorable support for this initiative here and for the for the amendment. I think it's going to be a really great thing for the neighborhood. I know it's been around for way more than I've been here, but we couldn't be more excited in the 11th ward about when this project is finally completed and what it's going to bring to the neighborhood.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman Lee. Alderman Sawyer makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. All right, thank you. And item number 10 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to amend the Canal Congress Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project and Plan regarding statutory requirement of project completion and debt obligation retirement. We're joined by Tim Jeffries for this item as well from the Department of Planning and Development. Tim?
Yes, I guess it's good afternoon now, Chairman Waguespack and members of the Finance Committee. Again, for the record, my name is Tim Jeffries, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of the second amendment to the Canal Congress Tax Increment or TIF district. The Canal Congress TIF district was originally approved by City Council on November 12, 1998. The district is generally bounded by Monroe and Adams Street to the north, the Chicago River to the east, Harrison Street to the south, and the Kennedy Expressway to the west. The purpose of this legislation is to amend the expiration date of the TIF district for an additional 12 years if the Illinois General Assembly authorizes such an extension during the upcoming November legislative session. This is necessary because several critical infrastructure projects are currently underway or planned and are reliant on TIF as a funding source. This specifically includes the use of $98 million in TIF for the $198 million replacement of the Canal and Harrison Street viaducts, as well as potentially unlocking federal funding, which would result in $500 million in improvements to Union Station. The Canal and Harrison Street projects in particular are critical projects that will replace infrastructure that is well beyond its useful life. Failure to replace these structures would result in further deterioration, unsafe conditions, and the eventual closure of the facilities. I'll additionally note that since these viaducts sit above rail lines, they could impact both regional and national transportation patterns. It's also important to note that if the General Assembly does not authorize an extension, then this ordinance would not take effect and the Canal Congress TIF district would expire at the end of the year. Should this occur, the previously mentioned projects would be delayed and the city would be required to rely on funds that are less restricted and that could otherwise be deployed for projects in other parts of the city. I thank you for your consideration of these amendments. I'm also joined by Dan Burke, Managing Deputy Commissioner in the Chicago Department of Transportation, and we're both happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tim. Dan Burke is on the call. Are there any questions for Tim? All right, seeing as there's no questions, Alderman Villegas makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you, Tim. I think that was your last item, correct?
I'll be
for the time
here with you for the IGA as well, but
okay.
I'll defer to Ivan.
Yes. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now moving into a section here where we'll have Ivan Hansen providing testimony on several IGAs with the Chicago Board of Education. In the interest of time, Ivan is going to present the projects and then we'll take questions once everything has been considered and go through the individual votes. So thank you for your patience as we go through these. Ivan, are you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ready?
I'm ready.
So starting out, item 11 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for the main building exterior envelope renovation and window replacement at Hansen Park Elementary School, not related to Ivan Hansen, located at 5411 West Fullerton Avenue in the 36th Ward. We're joined by Ivan Hansen from the Department of Planning and Development for testimony.
Yes, Chairman, we did combine a few of these for the roof masonry window projects.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, I didn't see your outline here beforehand. So do you want to go ahead and start with it, and then I'll go back and do the individual motions?
Sure,
You want to
absolutely.
Sorry.
No problem. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer for Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner, Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of 8 intergovernmental agreements that would provide the Chicago Public Schools with just over $30 million in TIF assistance to provide full roof replacements, targeted mason repairs, and/or window replacements at 8 schools. The total estimated cost for these projects is $36,636,000. CPS would fund approximately $5.866 million of this cost. Next slide. The schools are located within 6 wards, 7 community areas, and 7 TIF districts. Next slide. The table includes the 8 schools and their address and ward community and their TIF information. And here's photos of the 8 schools.
What up, man? Hey, I'm that trip, man. Trip was cool, man. Hey, man, they missed it.
Go to slide 5, please. Thank you. The project consists of providing full roof replacements, target masonry repairs, and/or window replacements at these schools. And the final slide. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $30,770,000 in TIF assistance, with remaining $5.866 million funding coming from CPS. I thank you for consideration of this request, and I'm available to address any questions the committee may have.
I think we've lost your audio, sir. Hang on one second. Alderman Villegas, if you had a question or comment, I'll go see what I can do about the chairman's audio.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, this question, Ivan, I was just curious as to what is CPS's total budget for infrastructure programs outside?
Alderman Villegas, I can barely hear you as well myself.
I'm sorry. Let me see if I can speak louder here. Ivan, can you hear me?
Yes, Alderman, I can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm having difficulties. Ivan, what's the total? What's CPS's total capital budget for this year? Outside of TIF, outside of TIF dollars.
Outside of TIF dollars, Alderman, we're about $600 million.
And with TIF dollars, what's your total budget there?
About 685 total.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ivan.
All right. Thanks, Alderman Villegas. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Anybody just?
We got you. Oh, now we've lost you one more time. Ivan, do you want to go ahead on to the next tranche? And I'll get back to running audio intervening.
Sure, no problem. Jamel, you want to pull up the next one?
Can everyone see my screen?
You got it.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Wagasbeck and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I am the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $10,130,000 in TIF assistance for two projects at Darwin Elementary School. One being a full roof replacement and target masonry repairs with window replacement. And number two would be a plumbing system replacement. The total project cost is just under $15 million, and CPS would fund $4,854,000 of this total cost. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 3116 West Belden Avenue in the Logan Square community area in the 32nd Ward. It is situated within the Fullerton-Milwaukee TIF district. The school is bounded by Belden Avenue to the south, Albany Avenue to the east, Medill Avenue to the north, and Kedzie Boulevard to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance on Belden Avenue and pictures of the school's existing roof. Darwin Elementary School is a neighborhood school serving 550 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The roof masonry project consists of a full roof replacement, including associated masonry and targeted interior renovations at the main and annex buildings. It also includes window replacement at the annex building. The plumbing system consists of replacing the existing plumbing system in the main building. Next slide. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $10,130,000 in TIF assistance, with the remaining $4,854,000 funding coming from CPS. I thank you for your considerations requests, and I'm available to address any questions the committee may have.
Thanks so much. The chairman's just rebooting his computer, so he'll be back with us in just a moment. Any questions on that one? All right, I don't have any hands. So do you want to go ahead on to the next tranche, Ivan?
I'm back on in.
Great, thanks, sir. We got you loud and clear.
All right, sorry about that, everyone. Just had to reboot the whole system there. Ivan, where were you at there?
We're just starting, we went through Darwin, we're on Manier.
Excellent. Floor is yours, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman Wagasbeck and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $6,952,000 in TIF assistance for 4 projects at the Manier Elementary School. One being a full roof replacement and target masonry repairs. 2 is a plumbing system replacement. 3 is the mechanical system replacement, and 4 would be a fire alarm system replacement. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 1420 North Hudson Avenue in the near north side community area in the 27th Ward. It is situated within the near north TIF district. The school is bounded by Evergreen Avenue to the south, Sedgwick Street to the east, Blackhawk Street to the north, and Cleveland Street to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance on Hudson Avenue and pictures of the school's existing mechanical systems and roof. Manier Elementary School is a neighborhood school serving 239 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The roof masonry project includes replacing the entire roofing system, performing targeted masonry repairs, and targeted interior finishes due to water infiltration. The plumbing, mechanical, and fire alarm projects will replace these respective failing systems. Next slide. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $6,952,000 in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. Completion of these projects are scheduled for fall of '23. I thank you for consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have.
All right, go ahead, Ivan, for your next one.
Good afternoon, Chairman Wagasback and members of the Finance Committee. Again, for the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $12,420,000 in TIF assistance for 2 projects at Young High School, Whitney Young High School. The full roof replacement, targeted masonry repairs, including window replacement, and number 2 is a building automation system replacement. The total cost of these projects is $17,990,000, and CPS would fund $5,570,000 of these costs. The next slide shows the map of the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 211 South Laughlin Street in the near West Side community area in the 27th Ward. It is located within the Central West TIF district. The school is bounded by Jackson Boulevard to the south, Loomis Street to the east, Adams Street to the north, and Laughlin Street to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance on Laughlin Street and pictures of the school's existing roof, windows, and building automation system. Young High School is a neighborhood school serving 2,143 students in 7th through 12th grade. The roof masonry window projects includes providing a full roof replacement for the arts building and the 2 links, and an exterior envelope renovation, including window replacements for the main and arts building. The building automation system project includes upgrading, repairing, and recertifying the obsolete and failing building automation system with controls in the environmental mechanical systems in all the buildings. Next slide. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $12,420,000 in TIF assistance, with the remaining $5,570,000 coming from CPS. Completion of the roof masonry projects is scheduled for fall of 23, and a window project will be scheduled for the end of 24. I thank you for consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have.
All right, thank you, Ivan. That was the full presentation, right?
We still have some more.
Yeah, we still have a few more.
Okay, yeah, they got for the high school though. Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman Wagasback and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request an approval of an intergovernmental agreement that provides Chicago Public Schools with up to $1.6 million in TIF assistance to refurbish the existing modular building at the Farnsworth Elementary School. Here you will see a map of the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 5414 North Linder Avenue in the Jefferson Park community area in the 45th Ward. It is situated within the Elston Armstrong TIF district. The school is bounded by Balmoral Avenue to the south, Linder Avenue to the east, Catalpa Avenue to the north, and Luna Avenue to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance located on Linder Avenue and pictures of the school's existing mechanical and exterior finishes. Farnsworth Elementary is a neighborhood school serving 521 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The modular refurbishment project includes refurbishing the existing modular building, including the exterior, mechanical, and interior finishes. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $1.6 million in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. The completion of this project is scheduled for the winter of 2024. I thank you for consideration of this request, and I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. The next one we have is Franklin. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $2,860,000 in TIF assistance for plumbing system replacements at the Franklin Elementary School. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 225 West Evergreen Avenue in the near north side community area in the 27th Ward. It is located within the near north TIF district. The school is bounded by Goethe Street to the south, Wells Street to the east, Evergreen Avenue to the north, and Sedgwick Street to the west. Here you will see a view of the school's main entrance located on Evergreen and pictures of the school's existing plumbing systems. Franklin Elementary is a neighborhood school serving 437 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The plumbing system project includes replacing the failing plumbing system in its entirety. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $2,860,000 in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. Completion of this project is scheduled for the fall of 2024. I thank you for consideration requests. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that provides Chicago Public Schools with up to $1,665,000 in TIF assistance for mechanical controls replacement at Funston Elementary School. Here you will see a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 2010 North Central Park Avenue in the Logan Square community area in the 26th Ward. It is located within the Fullerton, Milwaukee TIF district. The school is bounded by Armitage Avenue to the south, Central Park Avenue to the east, McLean Avenue to the north, and Monticello Avenue to the west. In the next slide, you will see a view of the school's main entrance located on Central Park Avenue and pictures of the school's existing mechanical control system. Funston Elementary School is a neighborhood school serving 403 children in the pre-K through 8th grade. The mechanical controls project includes replacing the entire building automation system and the associated repairs. The final slide, if approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $1,665,000 in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. Completion of this project would be scheduled for winter of 2024. I thank you for considerations requests. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined today by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I am here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $3,740,000 in TIF assistance to install a new elevator and provide 3 new accessible bathrooms at Holden Elementary School. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 1104 West 31st Street in the Bridgeport community area in the 11th Ward. It is located within the Archer Western TIF district. The school is bounded by 31st Place to the south, Grattan Avenue to the east, Lyman Street to the north, and Loomis Street to the west. The next slide you'll see is pictures of the school's main entrance located on 31st Street and pictures of the school's existing restrooms. Holden Elementary School is a neighborhood school serving 412 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The elevator and accessible bathrooms projects includes installing 1 new elevator to provide vertical access to people with disabilities and providing 3 new accessible restrooms and replacing the building's cornice and masonry band. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $3,740,000 in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. Completion of the project is scheduled for winter of 2023. I thank you for consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that provides Chicago Public Schools with up to $1,298,000 in TIF assistance to provide replacement of the existing fire alarm system at Mather High School. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 5835 North Lincoln Avenue in the West Ridge community area in the 40th Ward. It is located within the Lincoln Avenue TIF district. The school is bounded by Mozart Avenue to the south, California Avenue to the east, Thorndale Avenue to the north, and Lincoln Avenue to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance located on Lincoln Avenue and pictures of the school's existing fire alarm system. Mather High School is a neighborhood school serving 1,725 students in the 7th through 12th grades. The fire alarm system project includes replacing the existing fire alarm system for the main and the addition buildings. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $1,298,000 in TIF assistance, which finance the entirety of this project. Completion of the project is scheduled for the winter of 2023. I thank you for consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner, Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $5,570,000 in TIF assistance to provide mechanical system replacements at the Skinner North Elementary School. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 640 West Scott Street in the near north side community area in the 27th Ward. It is located within the near north TIF district. The school is bounded by Scott Street to the south, Larrabee Street to the east, Evergreen Avenue to the north, and Burling Street to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance located on Scott Street and pictures of the existing mechanical system. Skinner North is an elementary and neighborhood school serving 493 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The mechanical project includes replacing the existing failing mechanical system in its entirety. Next slide. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $5,750,000 in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of this project. Completion of this project is scheduled for fall of 2024. I thank you for consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $1,845,000 in TIF assistance, provide a mechanical system replacement at the Southside Occupational High School. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 7342 South Hoyne Avenue in the West Englewood community area in the 17th Ward. It is located within the Greater Southwest TIF District. The school is bounded by 74th Street to the south, Hoyne Avenue to the east, 73rd Street to the north, and a CSX rail line to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance located in Hoyne Avenue and pictures of the school's existing mechanical systems. Southside Occupational High School is a neighborhood school serving 327 students in the 11th and 12th grades. The mechanical project includes replacing the existing failing mechanical system. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $1,845,000 in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of this project. Completion of the project would be scheduled for the winter of 2023. I thank you for your consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I am the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I'm also joined by Tim Jeffries, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that provides Chicago Public Schools with up to $2.4 million in TIF assistance to provide a new artificial turf soccer field at the Calmeca Elementary School. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 3456 West 38th Street in the Brighton Park community area in the 12th Ward. It is located within the Stevenson-Brighton TIF district. The school is bounded by 38th Place to the south, Holman Avenue to the east, 37th Street to the north, St. Louis Avenue to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance located on 38th Street and a picture of the school's existing field. Calmeca Elementary is a neighborhood school serving 665 children in pre-K through 8th grades. The turf field project includes providing artificial soccer turf up to U10 field surrounded by a 2-lane asphalt running track with a new one-way road and new asphalt pavement, drainage, and infrastructure. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $2.4 million in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. on the next slide, you will see the illustration of what the new turf field may look like, and completion of this project is scheduled for the spring of 2024. I thank you for consideration of this project, and I am available to address any questions the committee may have. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Ivan Hansen. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer at Chicago Public Schools. I am also joined by Tim Jeffries, the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm here today to request your approval of an intergovernmental agreement that would provide Chicago Public Schools with up to $37.5 million in TIF assistance for two projects at Dead Elementary School. One would be the construction of a new 17,000 square foot gymnasium annex, and number two would be a building upgrades to the existing facility. Here's a map showing the general location of the school within the city. The school is located at 2131 West Monroe Street in the near north side community area in the 27th Ward. It is located within the Central West TIF District. The school is bounded by Adams Street to the south, Sealy Avenue to the east, Madison Street to the north, and Levitt Street to the west. Here's a view of the school's main entrance located on Monroe Street and pictures of the school's proposed gymnasium annex and existing restroom. Dead Elementary is a neighborhood school serving 288 children in pre-K through 8th grade. The gymnasium expansion project includes construction of a new linked 17,000 square foot gymnasium annex. The building improvements include an installation of a new elevator, restroom upgrades, electrical upgrades, mechanical and plumbing upgrades, including new air handlers, unit ventilators, and boilers, and replacement of the old existing PA system. If approved, the intergovernmental agreement would authorize up to $37.5 million in TIF assistance, which would finance the entirety of the project. On the last page, you will see, next slide, please. You'll see a rendering illustrating what the gymnasium may look like. The completion of this project and the improvements would be scheduled for the summer of 2023, and the gymnasium expansion would be sometime in early 24. We'd also be a shared use with Chicago Park District. So I thank you for consideration of this request. I'm available to address any questions the committee may have.
That was our final one, right?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. Alderwoman Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ivan, but for, excuse me, you caught me as I was chewing. But for the TIFs and all of these the schools, would you be able to perform any of these improvements?
Alderman, if we would not, they would not be currently in the capital plan if we did not receive the TIF commitments.
Because that's an awful lot of schools. But with the extent of the repairs that they need, if it wasn't for the TIF dollars, it would just linger on until infinity, because they are quite extensive on what they need, roofing and mechanical. And so with the TIFs in place is what gives CPS a heads up, or a hand up, I should say.
Yes, the TIF is definitely a help to CPS and to get some of these lingering issues taken care of. We have over $3 billion in deferred need, and it's about, we are contributing a significant amount, but it's just not enough to touch as many schools as we'd like to.
Well, I know for the schools that I had in my last finance hearing, I was just glad that they were in the queue so that those repairs could get done on the schools, because they were desperately needed and there was no capital funding to get them done, but for the TIF. So that's the reason why I was asking the question. But Mr. Chairman, you have my 100% support on this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Austin. Alderman Burnett. Alderman Sposato.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Ivan. Ivan, are you done?
Yes, we're done with our presentations today.
Okay, so Ivan, I have no questions. about any of your projects. I support them all for my colleagues, as I know they would be supporting me in my projects. But I just have a statement about you, Ivan. I don't mean to make you blush, but just want to let everybody know how I feel about you every time I call you, which I don't feel it's a lot. And you're always responsive. And if you don't answer the phone, you always get back to me in a timely fashion. And you always help me out with my problems. To me, they seem like they're big problems. To you, they're probably little things, but I just publicly, in front of all my colleagues, I just want to thank you for your responsiveness to me and in my ward. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Chairman.
You bet.
Thank you.
I'm ready,
Alderman
Mr. Chairman. Yeah,
You're
thank
ready.
you very much. Also, I want to commend the Board of Education, the Park District, and also the Mayor's Office for helping me with this field house. It brings some equity to my community because we're doing a field house over in Skinner Park, which is in the West Loop, and the people in the near west side are always saying that we only take care of the people in the West Loop. So this is my way of giving some equity to the community. Both of these schools are in the same TIF. We're very blessed to be able to have increment in these TIFs. But I would also concur with Alderman Austin in saying that, normally if we did not have the TIFs, these schools would get 20%. Their 20% that goes into the TIF, they're actually getting more than the 20% that actually go into the TIF. They're getting more money from other areas that goes into the TIF to be able to subsidize these schools. So I'm very happy that because of this, we're able to front load things to get done instead of waiting every year for the budget to happen in order for these things to happen. So, and that's not just only with the TIFs, with the Board of Education, but there's also with transportation projects, also Park District projects, and several of our other public things that we do in the city of Chicago. So I'm very happy to have worked with my community to help to make this happen. Thank you all very much for all your help, and also the people that's on the CPS board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go through the votes. If something pops up, if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and I'll check for that. I'm going to go through 11 through 30 and call out the votes. And Ivan, thank you ahead of time for providing this in a different format here. So let me see. Starting out with item number 11, this is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of TIF funding for main building exterior envelope renovation and window replacement at Hanson Park Elementary School, located at 5411 West Fullerton in the 36th Ward. Alderwoman Pat Dowell makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item number 12 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for a full roof replacement and targeted masonry repairs at Hope Institute Learning Academy, located at 1628 West Washington Boulevard in the 27th Ward. Alderman Sposato makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 13 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for a new elevator, new ADA compliant restrooms, and certain masonry repairs at Charles N. Holden Elementary School located at 1104 West 31st Street in the 11th Ward. Alderwoman Sophia King makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 14 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an IGA with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full replacement of the plumbing systems at Franklin Elementary Fine Arts Center located at 225 West Evergreen in the 27th Ward. Vice Chair Hairston makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 15 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for certain field and track developments, access road construction, and drainage infrastructure at Calmeca Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language located at 3456 West 38th in the 12th Ward. We're joined, Alderwoman Silverstein makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, item number 16 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for replacement of mechanical systems at Southside Occupational Academy High School, located at 7342 South Hoyne in the 17th Ward. Alderman Quinn makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 17 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full roof replacement, masonry repairs, and replacement of plumbing, mechanical, and fire alarm systems at George Muneer Elementary School located at 1420 North Hudson Avenue in the 27th Ward. Alderwoman Scott makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present used for the roll call used to establish quorum. Excuse me. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 18 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full roof replacement and targeted masonry repairs at Henry R. Clissold Elementary School located at 2350 West 110th Place in the 19th Ward. Alderman Beal makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item number 19 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for roof replacement and targeted repairs for water damage at Perkins Bass Elementary School located at 1140 West 66th Street in the 16th Ward. Alderman Cardenas makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. Actually, Alderwoman Tabares makes that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item number 20 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for select roof replacement and masonry repairs at Fraser Prospective IB Magnet Elementary School, located at 4037 West Granshaw in the 24th Ward. Alderman Tunney makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 21 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for certain refurbishments and mechanical and interior finishing at James B. Farnsworth Elementary School located at 5414 North Linder Avenue in the 45th Ward. Alderman Gregorius makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item number 22 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full roof replacement of plumbing systems, masonry repair, and window replacement at Charles R. Darwin Elementary School located at 3116 West Belden Avenue in the 32nd Ward. Alderman Curtis makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 23 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for gym expansion, annex, and accessibility improvements, including elevator, restroom, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing upgrades at Robert Nathaniel Dett Elementary School located at 2131 West Monroe in the 27th Ward. Excuse me. Alderman Mitchell makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 24 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for replacement of building automation systems at Frederick Funston Elementary School located at 2010 North Central Park Avenue in the 26th Ward. Alderman Napolitano makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 25 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full roof replacement and masonry repairs at Morton School of Excellence located at 431 North Troy Street in the 27th Ward. Alderwoman Michelle Smith makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item number 6 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for roof replacement and masonry repairs at Manuel Perez Elementary School located at 1241 West 19th Street in the 25th Ward. There is a Scrivener's error that will be corrected in the summary report to council. The amount stated at the bottom has a 2 in front of the 1.298 million. The correct amount should be $1.298 million on this item. We'll make that correction when we report it out. Alderwoman Tabares then makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 27 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for replacement of the fire alarm system at Stephen T. Mather High School, located at 5835 North Lincoln Avenue in the 40th Ward. Alderman Sposato makes a motion to approve this item by affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 28 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full roof replacement, masonry repairs, exterior renovations, window replacement, and automation system repairs at Whitney M. Young Magnet High School, located at 211 South Laughlin in the 27th Ward. Vice Chair Hairston makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 29 is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for full roof replacement and masonry repairs at John A. Walsh Elementary School, located at 2015 South Peoria Street in the 11th Ward. Aldermember Boyos makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed,
Aye.
in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Item 30, ladies and gentlemen, is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for the provision of tax increment financing funds for replacement of the mechanical system at Skinner North Classical School, located at 640 West Scott Street in the 27th Ward. Alderwoman Austin makes a motion to approve this item by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate that. Moving on, and Ivan, thank you for your work on this. Jamal, thank you both for working on these with the individual aldermen of the council.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you, Ivan.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, everyone.
All right, moving on to communications from the Department of Law. Item 31 is the monthly report of judgment, verdicts, and settlements from the Department of Law for the month of June and will be placed on file with the clerk. That item was sent out to everyone, so if you'd like to go through it, if there are any questions, feel free to ask them to the chair, and we can look up individual items for you and get information from each of the departments. And what I'd like to do, probably closer toward budget, we'll be hopefully going back through and talking about some of these on the agenda. Item number 32 is an order from Charitable Solicitation Tag Day permits for the Salvation Army North and Central Illinois Division. If there is no objection, I will place these items on the omnibus. Items 33 and 34 are authorizations for the payment of various small claims against the city and the denial of payment of various small claims against the city. If there's no objection, these items will also be placed on the omnibus. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the agenda for the Committee on Finance, and we'll now move to the supplemental agenda. Give me 1 second, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the supplemental agenda, we have 4 items from the Department of Law today, 4 cases that we will be asking Corporation Counsel to enter into and execute settlement orders. I'll just name them first. We have Samuel versus City of Chicago in the amount of $917,500. Then B will be Kennedy versus Rigner et al. In the amount of $195,000. C will be Shaw versus City of Chicago et al. In the amount of $4.25 million. And then we'll have D, McIntosh versus Bach et al. In the amount of $6.750 million. And with us today, we'll be presenting these cases. We have Deputy Corporation Counsel Mimi Ruther, Caroline Franzak, and Jessica Felker. And we're going to start out with on item A, Samuel versus City of Chicago, in the amount of $917,500. Mimi Ruther, Deputy Corporation Counsel, will present this.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to request approval of a proposed settlement in the Vanessa Samuel case. This case involves a fall of a then 65-year-old woman in an open manhole in the sidewalk in 2018, which resulted in a fracture to her arm with 2 surgeries and also aggravation of knee and back conditions for which she had a knee replacement and a back fusion surgery. In addition, she claims future surgery for a very large and unsightly scar on her arm from the surgery, which resulted from the fall, which runs the length of her upper arm. Ms. Samuel has $380,000 in past medical bills, and the City of Chicago did have notice of the condition, and the cover of the manhole had been missing for some time. The law department recommends settlement of $917,500 for this matter. The accident happened on July 26, 2018 at 3065 West 5th Avenue. Ms. Samuel had been at a funeral at a nearby church and was walking back to the car saying goodbye to some relatives when she stepped into the manhole, and she fell forward, breaking her arm and injuring her leg. The manhole was covered with grass and weeds that were growing around it, and Ms. Samuel produced photos that were taken the day of and shortly after that showed the weeds and the grass around the manhole. The fire department came and removed her from the hole and took her to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with a displaced fracture of her arm, for which she had surgery with hardware inserted. And a couple months later, when she was doing a follow-up x-ray after physical therapy, it was noted that the hardware was moving away from the bone and that the bone wasn't healing very well. So she had a second surgery with more new hardware, and a bone graft as well, and another course of physical therapy. As I mentioned, she has a very large scar that runs from her shoulder to her elbow. In addition to being tender and very unsightly, it's 8 inches long and a 1/4 inch thick with railroading. It causes her a fair amount of discomfort and pain because of the way the scar healed. It's squeezing on her arm and it's tethered, and there's a fold in the elbow area. So when she does certain movements, it causes her pain and it restricts her movement. Her surgeon from the University of Chicago has recommended that she have surgery to lengthen the scar. However, there's no guarantee that this will ameliorate the pain and tenderness, and the scar will still remain on her arm. In addition, as I mentioned, she had a total knee replacement of her right knee and a back fusion, and her treating physicians testified that the fall aggravated her previous conditions in those areas. The manhole is about 12 inches, or was about 12 inches in diameter, and adjacent to a vacant lot where there had been a building that was subsequently demolished. And it was a manhole that housed a water meter vault, which was removed in 1980. Google Street View photos show that at some point the manhole cover went missing. There's a photo from 2014 showing that the manhole cover was not on the manhole, and some subsequent photos that show that there was a cushion put on top of it, as well as a barricade at one point. In addition, there was a previous lawsuit which the City of Chicago received in October 2017 that involved the same condition. However, when that complaint was filed, it gave an address range of 3045 to 3065 West 5th Avenue. The law department has a practice of entering fall down sidewalk lawsuits into Team Connect and also into the 311 system. Team Connect is the system that keeps track of the city law department cases. Because the lawsuit was entered only with the leading address of 3045 West 5th Avenue, when a subsequent sidewalk survey was done through CDOT, they did not see this condition, or their vendor did not see this condition, which is further down the block on West 5th Avenue. Also, about 4 months before the accident, an anonymous city worker made an entry into 311 about the condition. And it has been completely restored, and the vault and the hole have since been removed. The plaintiff claims that the city of Chicago was negligent in failing to repair the condition that presented an unreasonable risk of harm. The initial demand was $1.4 million, and the case settled as it was proceeding to trial with the assistance of the trial judge. Were the case to go to a jury, we believe that a verdict could be substantially in excess of the recommended settlement amount. Given the underlying facts, the plaintiff presents a sympathetic figure, and given the amount of her medical bills and the medical testimony. And I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Move approval of the proposed settlement, Mr. Chair.
All right. Hold on one second, Alderman Hopkins. Vice Chair Hairston has a question first.
Yeah, what happened with the vendor?
Nothing happened with the vendor. There is a vendor that they still use, this vendor at the time. Let's see what the name of the vendor was at the time. Here. The current vendor is called Connect Group, and at the time it was called Transmart. However, it's my understanding that that is the practice, that this is treated just like any other 311 entry, and photographs are taken at the location that is entered into 311, and those photographs are given to CDOT to review.
Okay. And the reason that I bring this up is because I think that the law department should have a conversation with CDOT and their vendors about entry and oversight. Oftentimes the city becomes liable for things that the vendor does not pick up or that the vendor ignores, and this is becoming an increasing problem. So I would hope that you all could have some kind of discussion.
We can definitely have a discussion. However, I will say it's my understanding that it is the practice for the vendor to take photographs basically within the property line. And that's what was done in this case. We have the photographs from the vendor, and this condition was at the other end of the block. So that is the approach. And I think part of that is kind of a risk management resources approach to looking at the area where the complaint is made, or the area that's entered into the 311 system.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And just on that note, Mimi, was Connect a different company than Transmart, or did they just change their name?
I actually don't know the answer to that question, sir.
Okay, I'll look around and find out.
Thank you,
okay.
Chairman.
Thank you. All right, seeing as there's no further questions on this one, Alderman Hopkins has made a motion to approve supplemental item A by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Ruther. Thank you. All right, moving on to item B. This is Kennedy versus Rigner in the amount of $195,000. Deputy Corporation Counsel Caroline Franzek is going to present, I believe.
Good afternoon. This is the proposed settlement of Leroy Kennedy versus Ridgner et al. It's presently pending in the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Illinois. This lawsuit arises out of the August 23rd, 2020 street stop of Leroy Kennedy by Chicago police officers Nicholas Abramson and Jonathan Ridgner. The officers were on routine patrol in an area known for gang and narcotics activity when they noticed the plaintiff walk away from a group of people holding his waistband. The officers approached the plaintiff, and when they attempted to place him into custody, he became combative. Officer Ridgner performed an emergency takedown, and the plaintiff was placed under arrest. The incident was largely captured on body-worn camera video and pod video. Plaintiff filed his lawsuit in the Northern District of Illinois against the defendant officers in the city of Chicago, alleging claims under Section 1983 for excessive force, illegal seizure for the initial stop, failure to intervene, and a Monell claim against the city of Chicago. He also filed state law claims of malicious prosecution, indemnification, and respondeat superior. On August 23rd, 2020, defendant officers were in uniform and driving a marked Chicago police SUV. They had previously received information from the Strategic Decision Support Center that a person of interest was in the area of West Augusta Boulevard and North Hamlin Avenue. The area was known for a gang of narcotics activity. While driving on West Augusta Boulevard near the area of 3804 West Augusta, defendant officers noticed plaintiff, who they did not believe was the person of interest, sitting among a group of unknown citizens. The plaintiff looked in the defendant officer's direction, stiffened his body, raised his eyebrows, and then manipulated his front lap area, leading the defendant officers to believe that plaintiff was attempting to conceal a weapon or narcotics. Defendant officers exited their vehicle and approached, and as the officers approached, the plaintiff walked away. Officer Ridgner had to jog to catch up to the plaintiff and initiate the street stop. From the beginning of the stop, plaintiff was backing away from the officers and trying to avoid being stopped. While Ridgner was trying to prevent plaintiff from leaving, the defendant officers claimed that plaintiff swatted away Ridgner's arm, constituting a battery. The officers attempted to place plaintiff under arrest for battery, but the plaintiff resisted. Ridgner attempted to conduct a front collar emergency takedown. However, Ridgner missed and instead grabbed plaintiff by the throat. Ridgner was ultimately able to complete the takedown, and defendant officers were able to place plaintiff under arrest. The plaintiff suffered abrasions to his face and that came from the takedown, and the defendant officers called for medical attention. He's also claiming emotional damages because of this incident. He claims to have lost interest in things he once enjoyed and is fearful to leave his home. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office initially approved felony charges for felony aggravated battery to a peace officer, and he was also charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of resisting arrest. However, all charges were now dismissed nolli pros on December 18th, 2020. Plaintiff spent 4 days in jail before being placed on house arrest for the remaining 4 months while the charges were pending. The officers were equipped with body-worn camera, and there was a pod video at the intersection of Augusta and Hamlin. The officers did not activate their body-worn camera until after they exited their vehicle and began interacting with plaintiff. Therefore, there is a delay in the audio due to the automatic buffer on the body-worn camera. The body-worn video shows that Officer Ridgner initiated the contact with plaintiff, and that plaintiff's reaction to being grabbed by Ridgner was to pull away and swat at Ridgner's hand. After the contact, the body-worn camera video shows Officer Ridgner making contact with plaintiff's neck twice. The pod video incident was largely blocked by the traffic control signals. However, even with the block view, the video shows the takedown and plaintiff's feet fly through the air before he is slammed to the ground. The cost to continue to defend this case with outside counsel fees will cost the city at least $500,000 to litigate this case through trial. It also should be noted that no contraband or drugs or weapons were found on plaintiff after he was arrested. Taking all the risks into consideration, the defense strongly believes a settlement of $195,000 is the best way to avoid the risks associated with trial and limit the financial exposure the city could face in defending this case. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this case.
All right, are there any questions for Ms. Franzak? All right, we'll do a motion on this from Alderwoman Lee to approve item B on the supplemental agenda by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum, unless there are any of you who are opposed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right. Anyone opposed?
No, no, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Hopkins? Anyone else?
Ariel.
No, I voted aye.
I'm sorry. No. Alderman Hopkins. My apologies. Alderman Hopkins votes aye. Alderman Roboris, no?
No.
Quinn's a no.
Alderman Quinn votes no. Anyone else?
Alderman Harris is a yes.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it with the exception of Alderman Roboris, Alderman Quinn, and therefore the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Franzak. And
Alderman Austin is aye too, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have you on the
all right. Thank you.
Forum call. Thank you. All right, Ms. Franzak, moving on to Shaw versus City of Chicago. This is in the amount of $4.25 million. if you could proceed on the proposed settlement.
Thank you. This is the case of Lataisha Shaw on behalf of decedent's minor children, Miracle Shaw and Melody Gratton, as administrator of the estate of Maurice Gratton Jr., deceased, versus City of Chicago et al. This case is pending in the Circuit Court of Cook County. This lawsuit arises from a police-involved shooting that occurred on June 6, 2018, near the intersection of 47th Street and Prairie. Maurice Gratton was shot and killed by Chicago police officer Sheldon Thrasher following a foot chase that began under the elevated train tracks at 47th and Prairie and ended in a vacant lot at 4719 South Prairie. Officer Thrasher has since been stripped of his police powers, and on November 30th, 2020, COPA recommended that Officer Thrasher be separated from the police department for violation of rules related to the use of deadly force, for failing to timely activate his body-worn camera, and for engaging in an unjustified verbal altercation with bystanders after the shooting. Superintendent Brown concurred with those, and those charges are currently pending before the police board. We are requesting $4,250,000 pending your approval. On June 6, 2018, officers monitoring a pod camera located at 47th and Prairie observed Granton and several other individuals engaged in narcotics transactions underneath the Green Line L tracks. Sergeant Curtis Wallace notified members of his tactical team that they should meet and then proceeded to 47th and Prairie, where they observed transactions were occurring. When officers arrived in the area, Sergeant Wallace approached Granton, who then fled on foot through an alleyway and jumped a wooden fence into a vacant lot. This portion of the incident was recorded on Sergeant Wallace's body-worn camera. As Sergeant Wallace was following Granton, he suffered an injury to his Achilles tendon, and he was unable to continue. Wallace did not jump the wooden fence and did not enter the vacant lot behind Granton. Seeing Granton run from Sergeant Wallace, Officer Thrasher ran southbound on Prairie toward the other side of the vacant lot in an attempt to cut off Granton. While Thrasher was moving towards the lot, he heard one gunshot. This gunshot can be heard on Wallace's body-worn camera footage. Officer Thrasher did not see who fired the shot and did not know if anyone was shot. Thrasher, who was at the northwest corner of the vacant lot, looked into the vacant lot, and Officer Thrasher claims that he saw Granton running in his direction with a gun in his hand. Officer Thrasher backed away from the lot and lost sight of Granton for a moment, using a nearby wall as cover. Then Granton almost immediately arrived at and attempted to climb a wrought iron fence running along the west end of the vacant lot. When this happened, Granton was less than 10 feet away from where Thrasher was standing. Believing that Granton posed an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm, Thrasher fired 3 shots in rapid succession at Granton. One shot struck Granton in the back and proved to be fatal. Thrasher did not activate his body-worn camera until after the shooting occurred. Due to the buffering setting of the body-worn camera, the shooting itself is on video, but there is no audio. Although the footage is not 100% clear, it does appear that Granton's hands were empty when he tried to scale the wrought iron fence. After being shot, Granton fell off the fence into the vacant lot. Civilians, including some of the people that had been selling drugs with Granton on the pod camera, began to approach and began yelling at Thrasher and at Granton. On video, Thrasher can be seen and heard saying, "You see your homie right there? You see your homie shot? Get back, get back." Also captured on video is Granton attempting to move while on the ground, gasping for breath. Eventually, a person arrived and unlocked the gate for the wrought iron fence. Officers entered the lot and attempted to treat Granton until paramedics arrived. A handgun was recovered from the middle of the lot, which was approximately 29 feet from the wrought iron fence and 10 to 15 feet from Granton's body, along the path on which Thrasher saw Granton running. Granton was transported to the University of Chicago Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A Chicago police sergeant accompanied Granton to the hospital and did not turn off his body-worn camera. Thus, the entire ambulance journey, while paramedics attempted CPR and other life-saving techniques on Granton, and up until he is declared dead in the emergency room, is captured on video. Thrasher was also transported to a hospital for observation. He was later released and returned to Area Central to complete reports and be interviewed by detectives. The shooting was investigated by COPA, and at the conclusion, COPA found that Officer Thrasher fired his weapon at Granton without legal justification and in violation of Chicago Police Department policy. Given the video evidence, the chances of verdict in favor of plaintiff are substantially increased Therefore, we recommend a settlement in the amount of $4.25 million pending your approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Alderwoman Tabaris.
Put me down as a no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Put me down as a no on this settlement.
Okay.
I want to be recorded as a no.
Okay. Alderman Sposato.
Thank you, Chairman. I already heard this in the briefing. Before the briefing, I also want to be recorded as a no.
Okay. Alderman Quinn.
No for me.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to be recorded as no before I make a motion?
Napolitano's a no, please, Chairman.
Villegas.
All right. So any other questions specific to this item? All right, I'll go back through these then at the end of the motion. Alderwoman Austin makes a motion to approve supplemental item C by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum, with the exception of Alderman Quinn, Alderwoman Tabaris, Alderman Villegas, Alderman Sposato, Alderman Napolitano. Anyone else? So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion carries with those exceptions. Thank you, Caroline. All right, moving on to item D. This is McIntosh versus Bach in the amount of $6.75 million. And Deputy Corporation Counsel Jessica Felker will be presenting.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Jessica Felker. I'm Deputy Corporation Counsel in the Federal Civil Rights Litigation Division. And I am presenting Norman McIntosh versus Chester Bach et al., number 20 CV 324. It's a federal civil rights case in which Mr. McIntosh alleges he was wrongfully convicted of the 2001 murder of Devon Hobson, for which he served nearly 15 years in custody. Mr. McIntosh alleges that the defendant officers used unconstitutional and coercive identification procedures with witnesses that resulted in his wrongful conviction. We recommend settling this case for $6.75 million, inclusive of fees and cost, as a cost-effective measure to limit the city's exposure. Opposing counsel is Loewe and Loewe. Here, the victim, Devon Hobson, and his brother, his cousin, and his friend robbed someone by gunpoint in a gray car. That man yelled out that he was a vice lord as he drove away. About an hour later, Devon Hobson and his associates saw the same gray car following them, and the driver, who was identified as a Black man with braided hair, fired upon them with a machine gun type weapon. Devon Hobson and his brother were shot, and Devon later died. Two of the defendant detectives were aware of a nearby grocery shooting 2 weeks earlier in which Mr. McIntosh, a vice lord, was a suspect, and the same type of weapon was used in that shooting. Mr. McIntosh was never charged in that grocery store shooting, but because Mr. McIntosh was suspected of it and fit the description of the perpetrator here, the detectives put him in a photo array and lineups shown to the surviving victims. All three identified Mr. McIntosh at the time. Mr. McIntosh also had a gray car, but he told the detectives it was towed by the city months earlier and was still in the impound lot. The officers, however, were unable to find the city records of that at the time. Mr. McIntosh also had an alibi through his ex-girlfriend. His ex-girlfriend testified that he was at Mercy Hospital on the morning of the murder from about 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and that after he was discharged, she drove Mr. McIntosh to her house where they spent the rest of the day together. And the murder occurred around 9:30 a.m. Years after the trial in 2015, all the victims recanted and stated they falsely identified Mr. McIntosh. Mr. McIntosh claims that the detectives fabricated their police reports about the identification procedures and coerced and otherwise suggested whom to pick. Mr. McIntosh's attorney also found city records that showed that Mr. McIntosh's car was indeed in the impound lot at the time of the crime. As a result of these developments, Mr. McIntosh's conviction was vacated in 2016, and he received a certificate of innocence. If this goes to trial, Mr. McIntosh is likely to ask a jury for $15 million to $30 million in damages. If he prevails, he will petition for attorney's fees, and he was likely to ask for upwards of $2 million. Considering the risk of litigation, a settlement of $6.75 million is a reasonable amount to resolve the matter and to avoid the significant financial exposure of an adverse verdict. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Felker. Yes, does anyone have any questions for Corporation Counsel? Alderman Villegas, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just had a question. Is this part of the Guevara cases?
No, it does not involve a Detective Guevara at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Alderman Villegas, would you then have this motion to approve supplemental item D by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion carries. And thank you, all the Corporation Counsel, for your work on these proposed settlements here. We appreciate it. And with that,
Thank you, ladies.
We have no further questions on these items. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today and all the work on this, on all these different items. With that, Alderman Osterman makes a motion to adjourn by the affirmative vote of all members present for the roll call used to establish quorum. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Anyone? All right. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, motion carries, and the Committee on Finance has adjourned. As I mentioned, we'll report out these different items to the council. We do have that one Scrivener's error, which will be changed in the summary. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Appreciate it.
Thank you.